Good morning, good day, or good evening. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to the first show in this year on January 3rd. My name is Anna and I'll be your host. Today we have a great lineup of 4 speakers for you. Whiz Buckley, Marina Villatoro, Brian McAboy, and Will Busby.
All right, folks, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, I guess, depending on where you are in the world. I'm going to talk about what I call trading the Death Star. This is probably the only stock you need to trade in 2020, and I know that sounds a little odd, but it's the truth because Wall Street's been lying to you for a long time. I'm also going to cover when we get to it what's going on in Iraq. What an absolute great day for our country, killing the head of this should have been done years ago, ladies and gentlemen. This guy was the head of the largest terrorist organization on the face of this earth, and he's been allowed to just like walk around. He is personally responsible for the death of hundreds of soldiers and Marines, and yet it's pretty funny that Democrats today are actually on the side of, I guess, that dude. But I'm gonna touch on that because it's impacting obviously the stock market. The Dow is actually accelerating to the downside right now, and the VIX is spiking. I predicted this, folks. If you watch my sit reps from this week, and you're a TGO member, I've been on the phone answering emails and doing everything all morning because I predicted this was going to happen. Not that this guy was going to get struck, but that this week Iran was going to do something big. They did. They fired rockets earlier in the week. That killed a defense contractor and wounded 3 of our soldiers, and then the whole embassy thing didn't look like Benghazi did it. Within within an hour of them putting up the bat signal, Marines were in the air and landing. So anyway, so good segue to our initial question to get us started today. I have a question for you. Speaking about the military, and obviously it's impacting the markets today, which fighter aircraft would you rather fly? Let's take a look at these two. Take a look at that first picture. That's an F-4 Phantom. You ready for this? 300 switches and dials in that cockpit, right? Very labor intensive for the pilot. A lot of what we call heads down time in the cockpit instead of out looking around at potential threats, potential enemy aircraft or surface to air missile or anti-aircraft artillery. Very labor intensive, okay? Or this aircraft, the F-35 Lightning, the Joint Strike Fighter. Take a look at that cockpit. 2 flat panel displays in that aircraft. We call this the Wonder Woman jet, folks. I grew up, didn't watch just the Wonder Woman cartoon. Don't want to sound that weird, but you remember the Wonder Woman jet? It was like invisible. This jet's invisible, and it is so smart that it actually limits the amount of information that it shows the pilot at given portions during a flight. For example, it will actually say, you know what, pilot doesn't need to know that stuff at this point. I'm just going to minimize the amount of information so they can focus on what's important. So obviously, it's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer. Which aircraft would you rather fly? It's that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Whiz. I'm pretty sure my parents liked me. They didn't name me that. That's a call sign that I earned flying the FA-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for about 15 years. I graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which many of you know is Top Gun. And I was also a bad guy. I was an adversary. So if Top Gun 2 is coming out, right? Maverick. But if you saw the first movie, you see the instructors in the bad guy jets and flying bad guy tactics. That was me. I had a lot of fun when I was in the military. Speaking of everything going on, this is, if you've never seen the Persian Gulf, let me give you, that's me heading back to the USS Kitty Hawk. You ready for this? That's Kuwait, that's Iraq, and there's Iran. And out in this blue area over here with a little dot is the aircraft carrier. So got to do a lot of cool things. Very fortunate. Very blessed, very honored to serve my country. This is what a blast. But anyway, flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq. What's this have to do with trading? absolutely everything. When I was a young naval aviator learning how to fly and fight a Hornet, I applied everything to my trading. First of all, you don't join the Navy to get rich or the military, right? You join it to serve your country. But I was always interested in finance. So as a young ensign, fresh out of college, going to flight school, I remember, buying my, first mutual fund with USAA, and the first two stocks I bought, at the time, my wife, I think, kept Ann Taylor in business, and I paid the American Express bill. So those were the twos. But as I was trading, I'm like, man, this is a form of combat. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And first of all, I don't like losing. And second of all, why wouldn't I kind of use all the methodologies that I'm learning right now as a fighter pilot, being disciplined, managing risk, contingency planning, implementing tactics, knowing when to get out of a bad or good situation before it gets worse. All of those things I applied to my trading, and it worked incredibly well, ladies and gentlemen, incredibly well. Eventually, I popped up on the radar of one of the largest options trading firms in the world, headquartered right here. Everybody should know that building. That's the CBOT, right? The Chicago Board of Trade. Famous building. This is the intersection of Jackson and LaSalle. You've probably seen it in the Batman movies, but that was our trading firm right there. You see these big, beautiful windows. Had an absolute blast when I was in Chicago. Helped build a hedge fund when I was there, helped build the retail brokerage options house, which has gone away and been absorbed by the E-Trade Borg, but had a blast. I was a managing director of strategy, literal old retail trader, right? Up to being managing director of strategy for a multi-billion-dollar firm. And then I became the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV, kind of the CNBC for options. I know if you guys watch CNBC, John and Pete Najarian, they try their best to talk as much as they can about options, but it's kind of an afterthought. We actually all day, all night, all options. I gave you a behind-the-scenes look at what was going on in the options market before CNBC even cared. And I jokingly say I felt like Valentine in Trading Places, little old retail trader going up to the big leagues. I got to be honest with you, man. I thought it was the smart money. What the hell can I do? Well, guess what? I was actually teaching them a lot of stuff, man. It was fun. Okay, no offense to anybody from Chicago. You can keep it, man. Great people, great food, but 9 months out of the year, it's miserable. I'm a beach guy. I'm a Navy guy. I need sun and ocean, so I live down here currently in God's waiting room in Boca Raton, Florida. That's actually a picture of my family the year we left Chicago. This young man is now 19. He's at Norwich University in Vermont in the Corps of Cadets, wants to fly for the Marine Corps. I guess I dropped him on his head when he was a kid. This kid that looks like he's got the devil in him, that's Jack. That's John Peter Buckley. He wants to go to the Naval Academy. And my daughter Keely is now 11, and she's not allowed to leave the house until she's 30. All right. So a little bit about me, a little bit of about the background of Top Gun Options and how I essentially went from the cockpit to the trading pit. You should never go to one of these presentations and the dude or the lady jumps right in and starts, if you have no idea who they are or their background, it's a little worrisome that you would fly formation with them. But here we go. Let's talk about the one stock, the only stock you need to own for 2020. We're going to get into this, but I've got some breaking news, and this is shocking, or actually might not be shocking to most of you. You ready for this? Big revelation. Wall Street, ladies and gentlemen, is lying to you. Oh my God, that's not shocking to me, Whiz. Well, but here's the point. Anybody ever hear this? You have to diversify. Diversification is important. Why it is important? You do not put all your eggs in one basket. That is an absolute lie. Why? Well, folks, it obviously kind of depends on the basket and depends on what's in the basket. One of the reasons, ladies and gentlemen, that Wall Street has told you that, right? Everybody since day one of breathing in investing, you've been told you have to diversify. Why? Can anybody tell me why? Let me go back here. Here's why. Fees. Back in the old days when I told you I bought that first mutual fund through USAA or Ann Taylor and American Express stock, I think the commission was like $250, right? Remember the old days? That's why they told you to diversify. You must have a lot of stocks in your portfolio. No, folks, it's called churn. You ever hear that term? In the financial industry, financial advisors and all these people got paid based on the amount of trading you did. And let me tell you, a famous investor, everybody knows who this guy is, said diversification, more or less, I'm paraphrasing, diversification is for people who don't know what they're doing. And he was right. Warren Buffett. Read what he had to say about diversification. It's for people who don't know what they're doing. So the one stock that we're going to cover that I think you need to own is Amazon. And we're going to get into why. But let's talk about the risks. Okay, well, we'll talk about the good and the great and everything like that. But before you place any trade, before you look at doing anything investing or jumping in a fighter jet and launching on a mission, you have to look at the threats. So what are the potential threats of trading one name? Well, pretty clear. It can go to zero. Everybody remember Bear Stearns? Jim Cramer certainly remembers Bear Stearns. Remember the height of the financial crisis? Jim Cramer, he looked like Khrushchev, at the UN, the bald guy pounding his shoe on the table. You have to buy Bear Stearns. It's just steal at 70. 2 days later, it was at zero. Jim Cramer doesn't like to talk about that, does he? How about Lehman Brothers? 150-year-old company, zero. How about pets.com? I mean, I can go through the litany. The graveyard of stocks that have gone to zero is huge, folks. But if you look at a lot of the stocks that have gone to zero, what did they have? They didn't own anything. Look at Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. They didn't own anything. It's paper, folks. Pets.com, what did they own? A sock puppet and pets.com. Enron was a middleman of electricity. They didn't own things. You need to have stuff. Look at Amazon. Years ago, folks, disclaimer, I used to fly for FedEx. I hated it. I got off active duty, flew Hornets for the reserves, flew for FedEx for 8 months, wanted to put a bullet in my head, flying from midnight to 8 in the morning. And I was a young kid, 30s, 33. I hated it. But still got a lot of buddies, captains, stuff like that. I got a text from a buddy like 5 years ago. He's like, hey, man, I just talked to a buddy of mine in corporate. Amazon is leasing 5 jets. I'm like, oh, boy, here it comes, right? Amazon owns things, folks. They didn't. None of these companies did. Here's another big risk to Amazon. He's on your screen, that guy. About 1.5 years ago, folks, I woke up. I've been trading Amazon for years, decades. And I woke up and this dude obviously woke up on the wrong side of the bed, grabbed his phone and started ripping apart Jeff Bezos and Amazon. They're screwing the post office and Post to this and Bezos and Washington Post and Amazon and blah. Stock went down a little bit. And then what did it do? It never looked back. Okay. And recently, Amazon lost the JEDI contract, right? What's JEDI contract? Joint, whatever it stands for. It's the Pentagon's cloud contract. They are suing the hell out of the government and Trump, and I agree with them. Why? Because the president put his thumb on the scale. He said, Amazon defense contract, they shouldn't get it. That's not a fair process. So he is a threat, but it's been minimized. Okay, the guy talks, way out of his both sides of his mouth. He was a threat to Amazon. You know what Jeff Bezos did when Trump was ripping him to shreds? He didn't say a word. He just quietly nodded. Same thing with FedEx. the FedEx, what was it, a month or two ago? FedEx ground dropped Amazon because they realized it was like a young Jedi becoming the master and then taking. That's what Amazon does. It just sits there, nods and smiles, and then it's an amoeba that eats everything, right? Amazon Air will be bigger than FedEx and UPS in a couple years, easily. This reminds me, Jeff Bezos reminds me of, what's his name? Not Carnegie, or who was the guy in the, what was it, 20s or whatever? He said, he looked at the oil coming out of the ground that he owned, and he's like watching it get on a truck. The truck went to a railroad car, and he's like, why don't I own the trucks and the railroad and the rails and the timber and everything? That is what Amazon is doing, folks. Okay, so it owns things. It's got factories. It's got blue. Here, I love what Jeff Bezos did. What was it? Like 6 months ago, right? The fastest human being at Amazon, folks, could like box. I think it was like 200 items in an hour. They came out with I'm making this up, the Robo Boxer 3000, whatever it's called, that could do 700. So you know what Amazon did? You know what, folks? We have to let you go, but we're going to give you severance. Oh, that's great. Thank you. But here's how you get your severance. You put on a blue shirt, you put an Amazon sticker on your car, and you go deliver packages for us. And then guess what's going to happen to the people who are driving those? It's already happening in California, folks. Guess what happens to the people driving those vehicles? They're going to be gone soon. I'm talking like Gordon Gekko right now for a reason, folks. I'm not talking as a human, as an American who's like, oh crap, that's going to be bad, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking as a Gordon Gekko from Wall Street. This is fantastic. You want to get rid of people driving those because they need benefits, they need breaks, they get into accidents. Computers won't. Amazon is already, and then I saw the drone thing. This ain't years off. Amazon's already delivering something, doing tests with delivering stuff via drones. This is insane. So here's another threat, though. You ready for this? Whoa, Whiz. The FTC is taking a look at Amazon. You know what? The same time that the government announced that they're looking in Amazon, guess who's looking in the Facebook, Google, and Twitter? You ready for this? The DOJ. Now, if you don't understand your alphabet soups, this is civil and takes. Everybody remember Standard Oil, Microsoft, the baby bells or the bells? It takes 10 years for the FTC to get around to a recommendation. And even if they came out and said Amazon needs to be broken up, its parts are worth more than its whole. Like I said, Amazon Air alone. But ladies and gentlemen, the FTC is civil. Guess what DOJ is? That's Uncle Sam with a badge, okay? That's criminal. So there is, quote, regulatory risk, but it ain't what all the other limousine liberal tech companies have. And like I said, Jeff Bezos doesn't say a word. He ain't Mark Zuckerberg getting hauled up in front of Congress and privacy, or the head of Google. About a year ago, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, four-star Marine, who under oath, even though he's a Marine, he shouldn't have to be under oath because he always is. He said Google is working for the People's Liberation Army. Under oath, ladies and gentlemen. So guess what? Amazon might have, quote, some government risk. It's got to, they got to shoot all the other tech companies to even reach Amazon. So there are the threats. Now, let's get to the good stuff. What are the benefits to trading a single stock? Folks, you trade the same name and potentially profit no matter what direction it's going, up, down, or sideways. That's what we can do with options. We can potentially profit no matter what direction the stock is going. You stay focused on the news that impacts Amazon instead of a bunch of different stocks and ETFs. You become an expert in the name, right? So you're not spending time on other positions. You become a market maker. I have a buddy who's been an Apple market maker since he was like born. He doesn't even know there's a stock market, folks. And I'm not joking when I say that. He doesn't care about the price of oil. He doesn't care about anything but Apple. And I like using my buddy down here in Boca as an example. He's a plastic surgeon, gets a lot of business obviously in Boca. He's a plastic surgeon in Boca. When I did some coaching with him, we sat down, he booted up his computer, he showed me his brokerage account. I about fell out of my chair, folks. You ready for this? He had 33 positions. I'm going to let that sink in, and I guarantee you there's a couple of you sitting here going, "Oh boy." I do this for a living, and I'm glad he was a doctor. I almost died of a heart attack. You're nuts. He's like, I think that's a pot stock. I don't know what that is or why I got into it. And this one, I think a buddy told me about, they make plastic. I don't know. And then this, I'm like, stop talking. That's it. I'm like, dude, you work 8 to 10 hours a day. You're in surgery. You see patients. How do you physically have the time to do this? He doesn't. Man, I simplified his life. Simplify your trading cockpit, folks. If you have more than 5 to 7 positions, you're failing. I'm telling you, folks, I do this for a living. As a retail trader, if you have that many, you're doing it wrong, period. Now, we also, if you're sitting there going, all right, man, you're right, I need to simplify my life. Amazon ain't going out of business. Matter of fact, I predicted that Amazon's a $3 $1,000 stock by next year, period. But if you're sitting there going, you know what, you're right, Wiz, I got this, man. This sounds exactly what I need to do. I need to simplify, beginning of a new year, new me, all that type of stuff. But you're sitting there, man, the diversification thing, it's hardwired in me. Guess what we also trade in this portfolio? And I'm going to show you in a couple minutes. XLY. If you're sitting there going, I have to diversify, Wiz, I bought the Wall Street lie. Guess what? I'm going to trade XLY as well. Why? Look at the top holding in this. This is an ETF. Instead of trading a stock that's 1875 right now, we're going to trade the XLY, which is 120 bucks or whatever it is. Look at the top holding. 25% of this ETF is Amazon stock. So it's a good proxy for XLY. Now let's take a look at the rest of this ETF. Home Depot, McDonald's, Nike, Starbucks, Lowe's, Booking, TJX, General Motors, Target. So even if one day you woke up and Amazon was at zero, does anybody think all the rest of these companies are going to zero? Of course the answer is no, folks, and Amazon ain't going to zero, okay? So this is what's best about this new service we have here at Top Gun Options is we trade both in this portfolio, XLY and Amazon, especially since what we call a synthetic stock position might be a little pricey in Amazon. You can do it in XLY. Okay, so the tactics we employ, and I'm going to show you a trade in a couple minutes here. I'm going to show you how to establish what I call a base position. It's called synthetic stock or a long call diagonal, and we always have a protective put with these positions. Why? I never walked out to the F-18 Hornet, got in there or climbed up the ladder and asked the chief to pull out the ejection seat. Like, you know what, chief, today I ain't getting shot down. Just no, folks, never happened. You are always, we're always going to be protected with a protective put. But synthetic stock, as the term implies, it ain't real stock. You use options to be synthetically long the stock. It's a really cool tactic, folks. Instead of tying up a boatload of capital, we use options, right? Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? So we'll establish a base position. We're going to hop in our Joint Strike Fighter and we're going to fly the speed of light or whatever and go as far out into the future as we can in the options chain and get bullish on Amazon. And then we're going to trade the front months. Amazon's going up, we're going to do some bullish spreads or long calls. Amazon's going down, what are we going to do? You ready for this? Bearish spreads, buy some puts or sell upside calls. What if it's moving sideways like it did until this kind of Santa Claus rally? We trade what's called an iron condor. It's a sideways tactic. You can make money on a stock as it moves sideways. Isn't this cool? So this is what we're going to do. Establish a base position and then trade the front months. Okay, so here's what I want to do right now. I'm going to go over, let's open up our brokerage platform and take a look. So, wow, look at the VIX. Told you this was, well, I told my members, folks, we got long volatility right here, man. And look at this. Told you this was going to happen. So actually, let me give you a quick strategic brief here, folks. This is, first of all, I've been very critical of the president. When our government designated the Iranian Quds Force as a terrorist organization, I'm like, why is this guy walking around and living? The head of this terrorist organization is like there. I'm like, why hasn't he been killed yet? This was way too late, but better late than never. And here's what's interesting. I've been seeing all the media coverage. Of course, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Democrats are actually on the side of the dead general. That's fantastic. They're not, look at this. This is Iraqis, folks, celebrating, and Iranians celebrating that this dude is dead. Iranians and Iraqis celebrate, thank Trump for airstrike that killed ruthless military general. Folks, under Barack Hussein Obama, the Pentagon was ordered not to disclose combatant deaths at the hands of Iran. To me, this makes me furious. When this guy became president, he stopped that. He actually got, he's like, what? And the Pentagon started reporting. As of me getting on the air this morning, 608 Marines and soldiers were killed by this guy's hands, directly or indirectly. and the guy was blown up and turned into pink mist, driving away from the embassy, getting ready to strike again. Anybody who has a problem with this guy being killed is the problem. So why am I ranting about this? Because it's impacting the market, folks, right? Stocks fall after Baghdad airstrike. This is right in my wheelhouse, ladies and gentlemen. And this is just, this is insane. This is insane. And this isn't going to go away. I know the president doesn't like these, quote, endless wars. Let's get out of the Middle East and all this type of stuff. I'm sorry, Mr. President, that's not going to happen. We are stuck in an endless war with people who want to kill us. And until they stop wanting to kill us, I mean, look at, Obama pulled us out of Iraq with no plan and created ISIS. Us bringing our troops home didn't do anything to make them like us more. Okay, so we are in a forever war, and this type of stuff is going to happen. Now, why am I ranting about this? Let's look at Amazon. It's obviously down today. Everything's down today. I have a bear call spread that's looking to expire at the end of today. Look at it, it's up $7,200 today as Amazon's pulling back. This trade is hopefully going to expire max profit today. Absolutely, just stay under 1875 today, Amazon, and I make a boatload of money. I think we're going to sell off into the close, and we're going to accelerate. But look at Amazon here, folks. Look at this rip your face off pop last week. What was it on? Amazon destroyed Christmas in a good way. They reported in the history of the company, they've never seen such a good Christmas. Look at that pop. So this is a gap move. And then what did it do? Stocks after a gap up or down tend to what? If they fill the gap and go up, it's extremely bullish. If they fill the gap and go down, man, sell the hell out of it. It's bearish. So this Amazon being down 24 points right now is nothing. This, first of all, folks, Iran, we're going to retaliate, blah, blah, blah. Bring it. Bring it. What are you going to do? You're building a nuke weapon, and I'm pretty sure Benjamin Netanyahu is going to take care of that before us. So there is some potential volatility out there, but here's another reason why you got to be kind of keeping an eye on world events here. You ready? North Korea. I'm going to give Trump a Christmas present. Well, it failed. It might be a New Year's present. He didn't. He is going to launch a ballistic missile very soon. I got one of the benefits you're going to get here at Top Gun Options is I got a lot of little birdies, folks, still wearing uniform, and a lot of them with stars on their shoulders. I get a lot of intel, folks. North Korea is going to launch a ballistic missile over Japan, and it's also going to cause the market to do this. But anyway, what I'm getting at is Amazon has, when is it? Earnings are coming up on end of the month. I would be bullish on Amazon right up until earnings. So here's an options chain, folks. I'm going to go out to Jan 24. Let's take a look at a trade here. I like 1850. Well, let me just pull up the chart real quick because I don't want to run out of time here because a lot of people are saying, what's the link? How do we get in? But 1850, yeah, there you go. Right around 1850 is a good bounce off point. So I like the 1850 level. Let's take a look at the 1850. Selling those puts, and then the 1847.5 buying those as a potential hedge to the downside. Let me see how many contracts we could do. 30. Let me take a look at this. We can actually do about 35. Let's see what 35 gets us. All right. Yep, 5, perfect. All right, so folks, here you go. Actionable trade. This is what I'd be doing right now in our solo Amazon service with Amazon. I would look to sell 35. Why 35? Give me 2 minutes. I'd look to sell 35 of right before earnings. I don't trade earnings, folks. It's a crapshoot. How many of you have traded earnings in the past where you were right? Like, for example, whoever, Amazon, for example, reported blowout earnings. And then in the next or after hours or the next day, the stock implodes, right? Buy the rumor. So it's very frustrating as a retail trader to be like, wait a minute, I'm right, but I'm wrong. Exactly. Don't trade earnings. It is gambling. I very rarely trade earnings. Okay. So anyway, so that's why I'm choosing the January 24 expiration. Selling the 1850 puts is me saying, you know what? By January 24th, Amazon is above 1850. Whiz, what if you're wrong, man? North Korea launches a bottle rocket, and Iran, and this, and impeachment, or whatever. Well, I'm buying these downside puts, right? Buying the 1847 and a half puts. Okay, I'm bullish on Amazon. I'm using puts, and it's a spread. This tactic is called a bull put spread. Now, if you're familiar with options, it's also called what? It's a credit spread. We're bringing in a credit of about $1 or 95 cents to do this, right? We're getting paid to do this trade. We're getting paid $3,675 to do this trade. Now, I'm going to click on this snapshot analysis tab here. I love the E-Trade platform. It's what I use to teach. Very, very good platform. I'm going to click on Analyze here, and I want your eyes to go to one place and one place only, and that is max potential loss. Right here, the sad face, max loss, $5,000. Why did I tell you to look here first? Because if I didn't tell you, you'd look right here and go, man, in 3 weeks I can make 3,700 bucks. Don't ever look at that first. As a fighter pilot, as an options trader, I look at how am I going to get my ass kicked today on this flight? How can I die? What's the max potential loss in this trade? And if that's not acceptable, you don't do it, or you change the number of contracts. That 5,000 bucks, folks, is based on 35 contracts. I'm going to teach you at Top Gun Options that we have what we call SOPs, just like in the squadron, standard operating procedures. Based on a $100,000 portfolio, for example, I don't want to risk more than 5%, $5,000 on any one trade. Where'd you come up with that? 27 years of doing this. That's me, folks. You might be 10%, you might be 1%. Never are you 50 or 100%. But you have to acknowledge, just like a pilot, check. I put a check next to this going, that is in accordance with my SOP. I know that if I wake up and Amazon implodes, that's my max potential loss. You want to risk 2,500 bucks? You do, I don't know, half the contract, 15 contracts. You want to risk 10 grand? You do 70 contracts. I can't tell you what to do. You're getting to watch what I would do. So check, $5,000 acknowledged. Now we can look up and put on our happy face and say, all right, wow, 3,700 bucks. And underneath that, ladies and gentlemen, are the probabilities using at-the-money volatility in Amazon options as I'm talking to you. Those are the probabilities, about a 60% probability of at least breaking even. I like these type of trades, these credit spreads. Why? Because we make money 3 out of 4 ways or times. You see this dotted line right here? That's Amazon as I'm speaking to you, the price of Amazon. How do we make money? Well, Amazon goes up, okay. Folks, Amazon can stay where it is. It can hover, right? It can just hang out and we make money. Folks, we even make money if it goes down. What? Yeah, as long as it stays above our break even. That's the point right there. That's our break even. 1848.95. Amazon likes round numbers, folks. It likes 1,700, 1,800, 1,850. It likes the halves, right? And the 25 points when it's a $100 stock. Okay. How do we lose money? It goes below our break even all the way down here. Can it happen? Well, yeah. Will it? No. I think Amazon's going to be accumulated going into earnings because it destroyed Christmas. They've never seen the amount of profit that they did. And did you see FedEx earnings a couple weeks ago? FedEx reported horrific earnings. The main reason? Amazon. So this is, and Amazon, it was reported in the Wall Street Journal a couple weeks ago that they forbid their sellers to use FedEx Ground. Talk about a Gordon Gekko moment. I love it. I absolutely love them doing that. Okay, so bullish put spread. I like this trade. If you want a higher probability trade, what's, maybe go down, I don't know, what's 1825 spread? 75 cents. It's a higher probability trade. I'd probably go down to that 30 contracts right there. Let's analyze it. Yep, right around 5,200 bucks to make 2,300 bucks, and a 68% probability. This is a good trade too. It's all the way down there at 1825. Gives you a little bit of a maneuverability to the downside in case it does. Right at the bottom of this, that little drill bit is right around 1830-ish. Okay, so I like that. Good looking trade, bullish on Amazon in earnings. We got this gap move up on the news out of every year, folks. Between Christmas and New Year's, Amazon comes out with their how did we do? And every year I've traded this stock, it is a blowout. And every year it seems like they come up with, wow, We've never seen anything like it, and that's going to continue. I think the bull market continues into 2020, into this election year. We're going to have to deal with this Iran and North Korea, stuff like that. But the president is, for all the grief I give him, you can't. I mean, the guy's got a trade deal in his back pocket, right? The phase one's going to be signed on January 15th. The dude, Leo He, the vice premier, is flying over. We're going to get a phase one signed. And then the president said he's actually going to fly to Beijing to meet with Xi Jinping to sign the phase two. Man, if you get rid of the overhang of this trade war on the U.S. economy, boom. Okay, so I love Amazon. I predicted it's a $3,000 stock in about a year from now. Okay. All right. Yep. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to tell you how to get on board. All right. So fights on. That's what we call over the radio when we get ready to do an air-to-air engagement. Man, we stick our fangs out of the face masks, the oxygen mask, and we go fight. So let's go fight. Let me tell you how to get airborne with Solo Amazon. It is our newest live trade brief here at Top Gun Options. Congratulations, Whiz. Thank you. Yep. 10 years. I guess it's past. December, folks, last month was our 10-year anniversary. Been here for 10 years, folks. Spotless record. That's why I've been here for 10 years. But this is our newest live trade brief. It is every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, live trade brief, 3 p.m. Eastern. Our other briefs, the other briefs throughout the week, we do Monday through Thursday. They're $167 a month. This newest service, folks, is only $97 a month. I went out with my beautiful bride last night, had a couple drinks. It was a hell of a lot more, $97 a month. So for less than a nice round of drinks with your significant other, you can get access to Solo Amazon. Here's what you need to do. Head to go.topgunoptions.com/solo. And I will put that in the chat box as well. Pretty easy to remember. Go.topgunoptions.com/solo. Let me put that in there for all the folks asking for it. Yep, and she already beat me to it. Nice job. There you go. All right, so go.topgunoptions.com/solo. What do you get with this? Well, let me brief you on exactly what you get. You get, well, and some, hey, 80% of the folks at Top Gun Options work for 11. Guess what? If you can't attend, you're going to get a time-sensitive text and email alert. You're going to get right on your cell phone the same time that the people in the brief get the trade. Usually, folks, I'm sending out the brief. Sending out the trade before the brief, and we're just covering it in the brief. So you're going to get it when everybody else does, folks. Text and email alerts, they fire simultaneously. As a matter of fact, in my Gmail account, usually I get the email before the text. There's where it is. Hey, Solo Amazon members, at the top of the email, I actually cut and paste the text in there. I don't know why I do that, because actually in the email, you get the screenshots of the trade. I guess it's me being a fighter pilot and redundant. So you get the setup, you get the risk shot and everything. So you get an email, you get a text alert, and then 30 minutes after the brief, takes about 20-30 minutes for the recording to render. That is posted on the member page as well. And I'll tell you what, today, here's what I'm going to do. Since I'm in a great mood that dude's dead, I'm going to throw in your flight manuals, folks. So I'm going to throw in our proprietary workbooks, our primary, intermediate, and advanced workbook, folks. These are fantastic items, man. Everything from what the hell is an option all the way up to what's a strangle. These things are worth their weight in gold. You ready for this? For all the political science majors in the room, these manuals, if you went to my homepage right now and bought them, they're $197 for all three of these. Guess what? Let me do the math for you. Wait, if it's 97 for a month and he's given me 3 manuals that are 100, yeah, you're making $100, folks. I'm putting $100 in your pocket, right? So go.topgunoptions.com/solo, right? Those things, I'm going to throw them in for free. So quick reminder, here's what you get. Access to our weekly live trade brief where we trade Amazon and XLY. You're going to get real-time text and email alerts. You're going to get access to our online forum. We call it the ready room, right? The ready room of a of a fighter squadron is where you hang out, you know, before your flight, after your flight. I learned more about flying and fighting the Hornet in the Ready Room than I did from any manual, folks. So the Ready Room is where you interact with me, your fellow members, and you talk about stuff. And you get these 3 manuals for they're 197 bucks. You get them essentially for free. You're putting 100 bucks in your pocket to do this service. Okay, real quick from some current members, got out yesterday as well for 72% profit. My Jan 21, that's a longer dated position, out a year from now, is up 40 grand in 2 days. Well done, David. Scotty, Amazon, up 11 grand on 1 contract. Thanks for the idea. Kevin, Amazon synthetic stock, late to enter, up 200%. Paid 8 grand, now 24. That's a hell of a nice return there. Thomas, I have in October of this year, I'm up 10 grand. Dave, another David, did Amazon TGO, Top Gun Options, synthetic stock 2 months ago, up $42,000. Greg, Amazon update. This he got out of his 2019 $92,000 profit. His 2020 up 21 grand, all because of hooking up with you and TGO. Is just good stuff here. My 2021 this year was a little late, as I just bought it on March 8th, and it was look at this, folks. This guy got in Amazon when it was down there 1290, and back then it was up 19 grand. I could probably do the mental math real quick. This is probably up around $60,000, folks. This is I love this. I love this service. Diane, up $70,000 with 1 contract. It's funny, people are like, oh, 1 contract? Yeah, when the stock's 1,800 bucks, 1 contract can move and make you a lot of money. So folks, Solo Amazon, our newest live trade brief here at Top Gun Options. We're also going to cover XLY limited membership. We keep 200 and less because we use Go to Training, so you guys can see each other's chat and back and forth. And we got folks at Top Gun Options that have been friends for years. They've made friends online. They actually meet in person. Good stuff. But so we limit our membership only $97 a month. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you a 25% discount today if you do an annual. And it's only 897 bucks, folks. This is awesome. I love this. This is a great way to get on board Top Gun Options to see what we do. We'll give you the manuals today, $197 bonus essentially, and we'll get airborne. Okay, so. And geez, man, we've been crushing it with Amazon with that big spike. Look at that, up over $14,000. And then I just showed you a bear call spread that if we finish below 1875 makes about 3,000 bucks, I think. So, question for you. Simplify your trading cockpit, right? Do you want to fly that F4 Phantom or do you want to fly a Joint Strike Fighter? Simplify your trading and get rid of those 33 positions, whatever you're doing, folks. Solo Amazon, check it out. go.topgunoptions.com/solo. Okay. All right, folks. I want to be right on time, on target. Put it right through the bullseye or right through the top of the car that killed that dude. And I'm glad he's out of the gene pool. So Anna, thanks for having me. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll see you Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock in our newest service here at Top Gun Options. Thanks, Anna.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year, and thank you so much for being here at the top of the year. I can't believe we're in 2020. This is just crazy, but I'm so happy you guys are all here, and I love to hear your opinions. So please send me as many questions as you possibly can during the presentation. I'll make sure to get to all of them. So I'm going to begin here. One of my favorite things in the world is Cirque du Soleil. So I'm curious, how many of you guys actually have been to Cirque du Soleil or have seen it? I would love to know if you guys even know Cirque du Soleil. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's pretty popular, but to see it live in the flesh. So I am an absolutely huge Cirque du Soleil fan, and just recently I took my son to Cirque du Soleil whenever it comes to Guatemala, which, believe it or not, they do come quite often. I make sure to get us tickets all the time, because to me, Cirque du Soleil is just really, it's not even just a production, I call it an experience, right? So everything about Cirque du Soleil to me is really, really interesting. And last time I went, I became really inspired of how it relates to day trading. So let's look at, I like to break it down, because if we could recognize what Cirque du Soleil is, rather than thinking that only they could do it and it's so far out of our reach, it's the same as looking as like top traders, right? That they are just so far out of the reach. But funny enough, we're so similar, right? So who are the performers? They are basically ordinary humans that are doing extraordinary things, right? So I'm completely fascinated. I became seriously fascinated with who are they? Where do they come from? What took them to get to Cirque du Soleil, even like the money that they earn. Believe it or not, they only earn, like the top ones probably earn only like $70,000-$80,000 per year, right? So basically, I wanted to really, I became really interested in who they are and all that they are doing, because to me, I find that it's very similar to trading, right? Like the commitment, the years and years and years of trading that they put in for their perfect mastery. A lot of people forget that day traders have put years and years behind the ones that you're seeing successful. Their intense focus. Do you really think this woman holding on to this chair right now can, even for a split second, lose her focus? What will happen? She will most likely die, right? I mean, the focus, and that's what trading is. You need to have that absolute intense focus and their discipline. No matter what, they show up day in and day out. I'm sure they get sore muscles. I'm sure they have bad days, but they show up. And day traders, we too have to show up. Now, what's really curious to me, and there's something that a lot of day traders overlook, is these people's total trust. First of all, in themselves, right? In their partners. Have you seen the routines that they're doing? A lot of times they're throwing themselves, in midair, completely trusting their partner is going to be there at that precise moment. Their routines and their equipment, right? We forget the importance of trust when it comes to day trading in ourselves, and that happens only through years of training and practicing, right? And we don't necessarily have partners. I don't know many individual trainers, but our routine, which is our strategy, our plan, and our equipment, which is our charting software, right? And the confidence, right? If they had even an inkling of doubt in themselves, they will fail. So traders, the way we do that with that confidence is by understanding and totally getting the basics, understanding, right? Like here's a perfect example. This woman and these guys, by the way, have complete and total trust and confidence, and they have no doubt in what they are doing, because at this point, it's mastery, right? They have done this over and over and over again. I'm not saying that we could go and become Cirque du Soleil performers, but traders are very similar to this, right? So their insane creativity, how they could take the ordinary and make it extraordinary. And that really boils down to what we traders could do, right? So what do us traders have in common with Cirque du Soleil performers, directors, choreographers? What do we have in common with this particular woman? It's way, way, way more than you guys actually think we have, right? And basically what it comes down to is that we hear all the time that only 5% of day traders are successful over the 95 that aren't. What makes that different, right? Is that they lack what the Cirque du Soleil people have, right? What is it? What is it that successful traders have? What can we do differently from the 95%? Well, there's quite a few things, right? I can't go over everything, but we can focus on one specific point, and that will put everything else to shame, right? So I want to focus on what is today's presentation about. I'm going to be talking about trends. Trends are like tight ropes, right? When you're a tightrope performer, you don't get on a bicycle 70 feet in the air and go. You start with basics. You start with probably one thing. With them, it might be the balance. For us, I really want to focus on trends, how to spot those trends, understanding the sideways trends, and understanding how trends are all the difference between high probability trade setups and losing, because you'll be surprised how many people don't really even understand what trends are. So I really want to focus on this particular thing today. So I want to do a quick intro. I'm Marina, the trader chick. That's me, and that's one of my babies, one of my sons. This is my family. I am an expat living in Antigua, Guatemala. I'm married to a Guatemalan. That's why I live there. I've been now living there for many, many years. Um, I am trilingual. Me and Anna have a lot in common. I speak Russian, and if I remember correctly, Anna is also from the Ukraine. I was born in the USSR, but in the part of the USSR, which is now the Ukraine, and I speak Russian fluently. I moved to the United States as a refugee over 41 years ago. I speak English fluently because I've been here for 41 years, in the United States for 41 years. However, I've also been living in Central America for almost 18 years, so I speak Spanish fluently as well. I am a traveler, and to me, travel isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. For me, if I don't do travel and have it part of my lifestyle, it's kind of like a person that cannot live in a clean, that needs cleanliness, like they're just not feeling aligned. Neither am I. So it's really important for me to have travel as part of my lifestyle. And interestingly enough, before I became a day trader, I was a fitness instructor. I did that for many years. And I was a travel writer. And you can actually still find my travel blog, which I use for our traveling as well, and Travel Experta, which I talk about our travel and a lot of other things. You can find that here. So I still do that on the side because being a good trader, you can and you should be a multi income streamed person, period. It just makes life much more interesting. And once you get it, you really can't trade more than an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, especially for me because I'm a scalper. So scalping is, I could only, do maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours at most because it's super quick, right? And my mind can only handle that much. So let's talk a little bit again about, so the Cirque du Soleil performers, they begin with the absolute basics. So everything that we are seeing them do, they were not born doing. They started from the very beginning, from the basics. And once they got the basics, that foundation, when they mastered it, the rest comes into play. And that's where your confidence is built, from that foundation of understanding the absolute basics, right? And believe it or not, the majority of that 95 percentile of the traders that fail don't have those basics. So for them, it's like a domino house, right? A house of cards. Because it's so flimsy, it all falls apart because they don't have that structure down. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. You see, this is how one of those, have you guys seen those rope performers? I don't even know the actual name for it, but the things that they're doing is absolutely insane, but they probably just start by hanging. The basics of understanding how the rope can hold you in place so you don't fall to your death when you're doing those incredible moves, right? And that's really what basics of trading is all about. And it really, really, really boils down to the trends, right? So there's 4 basic strategies I'm going to talk about, and they all are around the trend. So if you ever think of the tightrope walker, they start with one small step leading up to the crazy setups, right? That bring you into the biggest rewards, right? And that's what it's all about. All right, so again, for us to accomplish something like this, we need to start with the beginning, and we need to dominate that jump rope. We need to dominate those trends, and let's get to it. Let's talk about the trends. All right, so there are 3 important trends in trading. 3. I know that it's pretty obvious, but you'll be surprised the amount of people that don't understand one of the most important trends there is. And that trend will make you or break you, literally. So I'm going to talk about that today. All right, so there's an obvious uptrending market, right? It's going up. We understand that. We can see it. The pivots are all higher than the other one. And then we have the downward trend, obviously, again, understanding that it's going down, no problem, right? But then we have the sideways trend. So the sideways trend has many words, names to it, right? It's the sideways movement, it's a channeling market, it's the indecision area, it's an exhaustion pattern. However you want to look at it, a consolidation area, transition area, however you want to call it, you have to understand this trend, because without this trend, unfortunately, you will not be able to really make money. Because why? Several things happen in sideways trends. One, you could lose all of your money because you're sitting there predicting that it's either going to continue in the trend in the same direction it's been going, or it's going to correct itself. We are not in any position as individual small retail traders to know the difference, right? All we could do personally is read what the market says. And one thing that I noticed, and why I brought up the fact that I'm trilingual, is I didn't realize that the market actually has its own language, that it speaks its own language to us, right? And that's exactly what I realized and understanding. And when the market is talking to me, I now listen rather than try to predict and see where it's going and what it's doing. All right, so the sideways trend, you have to understand to read it, because we can lose all our money by predicting if it's going to continue in the same direction, we don't know when, or that it's going to correct and change direction, and again, we don't know when. So we cannot decide that. We can learn to stay out and wait and confirm for a confirmation. So just a quick, super quick review of an upward trend. Also, people call it going long. When you're looking for a trade, you're saying that you're going to buy or go long, and that means basically that the price is getting higher and the lower, and these are getting higher as well. Same as a downward trend, also calling it going short or going into a sell position, a short position. It's when the market is going down, the pivots are lower than the others. That's what we're looking for, right? That's basically a downward trend. So it's pretty simple to understand, correct? Now, like I mentioned before, I am a scalper. So I also not only look at the overall momentums, I also look at immediate momentums, because I look for short, quick profits. So I have to also understand and be able to read the language, which I'm going to get to in just a couple of minutes, what exactly it's saying. And for me, it's saying here by reading it that this is an immediate momentum, and I need to look for a short position, which there are one or two really powerful short positions. And if it slows down and continues in the immediate momentum, I get that, because in the overall day, overall momentum, it's been going up. But I have to look at the immediate movement as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the trader's number one worst enemy: consolidation areas, transition areas, sideways trends, and how to spot them and how to avoid them. So it's interesting because a lot of people I am a very, very conservative trader. I have learned through many years of many losses and many trial and errors when to sit out, because one of the biggest issues that traders, especially beginner traders or ones that don't have a strong strategy to stick with, is they keep on saying, oh, it's patience and discipline. And it's true, it is. However, imagine yourself driving a car. And even if you don't drive, I'm sure you've all been in a car at one point or another, and you get to a stop sign. There's no questioning that stop sign, right? You're not going to be like, oh, should I go? I don't see any cars. I'm just going to go. Oh my God, I don't know. And then all of a sudden you go and you get hit and you're like, oh my God, freaking out. But the stop sign tells you have to stop, right? So it's not a guessing game. When you see those signs, that language in the market, when it tells you it's a stop sign, it doesn't even come down to a question of patience or discipline. It's a stop sign to you, and you read it, and that's the language. And that's what I've discovered, especially when it comes to these sideways trends. These to me are huge stop signs, and I wait, or we could look at it a little bit easier. It's a traffic light that has a red light, and I wait for that green light to let me know when it's time to move. And then also through the language, I understand which direction. Believe it or not, the market truly tells that to us, and that's something that I have learned. So sideways markets, right? It's when the pivots are pretty much touching each other, right? And that we learn through the areas, okay? So here we have a pretty significant downward trend, and then we have this particular movement going on. Obviously, in the very beginning, when it's forming in the live market, you won't know when it is a sideways market or not, right? Until you could probably maybe lose on one trade, but then if you continue going in, that's when you're, making mistakes, the same mistake over and over again. So it's understanding when it actually happens. And this here is a transition, because what happened here is it didn't continue in that direction, totally changed direction, right? So here's another view of what the consolidation market looks like, a sideways market, what it looks like for us to truly understand it, right? Here's another example of it. I just really want you guys to understand what it is before I show you how to start to spot these markets. And we could have mini ones, right? We could have mini indecision areas. And in these mini indecision areas, you don't want to guess neither. It's not for you to ever do that, but you do need green lights to know what to do next. And that's exactly what I want to be showing you guys now. All right, so here it is. You could have several. Here's another little one as well. Okay, so how do we recognize these when this is happening? How do we know what it is? And this is called areas. Areas. The market respects areas over and over and over again. And we, as traders, those 5% winning traders, need to as well. Those areas are support and resistance areas. All right, so what is a support area? Here we have a pretty significant downward trend, and boom, it's coming to an end here. The floor, it seems to be hitting a floor over and over again. This is support area. And you see what happens here? It kind of breaks through and then it fails. I call that a FOBO, fake out, breakout. And then it continues and changes direction. This here is also an area, we're gonna look into this in a minute, that's called a resistance area. So here again, pretty strong. All of a sudden, it just keeps on hitting that floor over and over and over again. This is a support area. Okay, and this is what a sideways market could look like. We have this super strong support area. This is just really choppy behavior. You see how yucky it is? It's going all over the place. There's absolutely no structure to it. So this here is a resistance area. What's a resistance area? When you're going straight up and you're hitting a ceiling. Now look, here, this is a pretty long time frame. Like I said before, I only stay in the market for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, because I do deliberate trading, which is really full on focus, laser focus, and my mind simply cannot handle more than that, right? Even for Cirque du Soleil performers, they could probably only manage about an hour at most doing what they're doing at their very best. And that's what scalpers do, traders that are in for short periods of time. So if you look here, the market is really respecting this area, right? And this is probably a couple of hours worth. This is probably my entire trading session. I definitely could get in a couple of small trades going in different directions, but I also have to understand that it probably will not be going long for a lot. And then I'll spot also that now there's a pretty strong support area forming as well. But right now I wanted you to see what a resistance area looked like. Now, how do I know these areas are beginning to form? And this is when this is my favorite, absolute favorite. I call them telltale signs, or my favorite language. This is when the market screams to us, and a lot of people ignore these signs, and then they wonder what happened. So I really like to focus on this, and I really talk about this with my students, and we work on it. And once you master this, I can guarantee you, you will be able to understand when to stop and not enter, when to not get into trades, or when to get out of trades. And it doesn't even have anything to do with patience and discipline. It's just simply understanding the market. Okay, so we have this strong market going down, and then we have a reversal pattern. I call this a double bottom. It's a pretty standard reversal pattern. And what I use is two indicators. I have these EMA lines, and this down here is the MACDs. I found that the MACDs has the best and least lagging indicator in the market. That's what I've discovered, and I really like to simplify. So when I see divergence and a reversal pattern, I stay out entirely until it is ready for me to enter that market again. Hopefully that makes sense and you guys understand what I mean by divergence. Do you see how this market is heading down? It's going here, and all of a sudden, look at this. They are completely even, but look at that massive divergence. I know that something's about to change or that it's about to slow down. Okay, so that's what I'm just waiting it out now. Okay, another reversal pattern. Actually, here you have as well. You see there's divergence happening there, but this is another beautiful part right there, massive divergence. And I have found through years of trading that this is a very high probability that the market is gonna completely slow down, change direction. Not for me to predict. I'm not here to predict. I am here to be like, okay, I need to slow down. I need to stay out until the market is telling me otherwise. All right, here's another beautiful example, triple top. Look at this massive divergence, massive. So I know I need to slow down. Okay, I'm gonna just hang out. I am at my stop sign. All right, so here's how I put this into play, how I use these indicators to go for high probability trade setups. And that is my favorite trade setup. It's the breakout. So if I have a strong resistance area, one that the market has been really, really respecting, and then it pops out, I'm looking for that breakout trade. Okay, so I'm gonna put it all together for you. And just a really quick bonus tip from Cirque du Soleil performers. Really important. Have you noticed they dominate only one area? They are not, getting on motorbikes and doing acrobatics and then after that running and doing a tightrope show. They are completely different, even though it's still under the same umbrella of Cirque du Soleil, right? They dominate one specific thing. And that's why they are masters at it, right? You really would not see you would not see this woman hop on a motorcycle act. There's no possible way, right? So traders, they want to trade multiple instruments before they dominate one. I cannot even tell you the amount of people that contact me and constantly saying, oh, I want to trade gold, I want to trade Russell, I want to trade stocks, I really like penny stocks, Forex, and I'm like, or they contact me and saying, well, I've been doing, the Russell, the gold, and the E-mini futures, and I'm barely even breaking even. I'm like, but why are you not only focusing on one? I particularly only focus on the ES mini futures, which is the index of the S&P 500 in the futures market. And I have now been doing this for almost 8 years, and I love it. It's my thing. I mastered it. I dominate that particular one. And instead of learning new instruments constantly, I'm just putting in more contracts. So why would you want to do multiple acts when you haven't even dominated your one? So it also starts for me, it's one chart. I love totally to simplify because I used to trade 3 monitors. Oh my God, too many indicators. It just really made my head spin. So I've now mastered and simplified it to one particular chart. This is everything. And I am able to travel wherever I want on my laptop and doing this all through my laptop. I have 2 indicators. The EMA lines, I use 3 different ones, but they work together for me, and the MACDs. This is my art. This is my canvas. This is everything. I love this. I could sit and watch this for hours. I just enjoy it. There's so much going on. There's so much language that the market is talking to me here. I could tell you so many things right from here. I don't need anything else. Okay, so I have personally mastered the art of simplicity when it comes to trading to really cut out that stress. It could be so stressful, right? To have too many indicators, to have too many charts, it just puts you into massive analysis paralysis. Okay, so that is my thing, and it really comes down to simplification. And I love working with newbies and seasoned traders to help this all together. So bonus time. Let's really look at this breakout trade. Okay, so we have this massive resistance area. If you look through here, you're going to start to notice quite a lot of divergence. So when I start to notice divergence, I'm already sitting out very drawn in my area. I know that at this point, I'm not going in anywhere until I see some serious green lights, and I don't really see many until boom, look at this beautiful breakout. This is the zero line of the MACDs. Look at this spacing. I know that there's massive, massive strength, very little retracements, no divergences yet. I would be totally looking in to enter. Same here. Look at that massive, look, massive breakout, tiny little retracement to my area of where I take my trade from. Boom, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, I also use the trends, and this is all through trend, right? This is a sideways trend. I learned to read the sideways trend. I learned that this is a breakout in an upward trend. I want to get in as soon as possible because trends work like people. Have you ever noticed yourself when you are ready to go exercise, you put on your jogging shoes, you're ready, you're out the door, your most amount of energy happens when you leave that door. That's when you want to get in. And that also happens when you're kind of taking a little break from jogging and you're kind of back and forth. Should I go home? Should I continue jogging? And you decide, you know what, I'm going for it. And you burst and go again, maybe do another whole mile. So your most amount of energy is in the beginning of that breakout run. And that's the same with a trend. And you want to get in as soon as possible. It's the same thing with this initial reaction. I use a sideways trend to know when it transitions all my green lights to a new trend. And that happens again. So I've been going through this resistance area, massive divergences going on here. And then it finally blasts through. When I see it going around these areas, that's when I know there's massive strength, no divergence, little tiny resistance and retracement, barely any. Boom, I'm in, and look at that massive run. I'm in this trade. It goes on and on, right? Same here, sideways trend. I'm looking now to see if it's going to do a breakout for me or if it's going to change direction. It changed direction, massive run, mini retracement. I'm all in. Okay, so this is really what it's all about. It's a strategy. It boils down to a very simple, basic strategy, and that's all you need. No crazy indicators and stressing out. The real question really is, do you guys struggle with your trading strategy and plan? Are you as confident as those Cirque du Soleil traders? Performers? Like, do you have that inkling or doubt, or do you not even have one at all? And it's like I was mentioning before, a house made of cards. It could blow over in seconds. Having a trading plan and that strategy is truly, truly the difference between being a consistent trader versus someone who is barely breaking even. Okay, and again, think of the Cirque du Soleil performer. Why are they so confident and have so much trust in their routine, in their strategy? Because they've been doing it for years. They have the basics. Okay, they are not going to get onto that tightrope unless they have already practiced that balancing act, maybe 1 inch off the ground for a long time, and have total confidence, right? So which one are you? Are you profitable and consistent because you have that tightrope strategy down pat and you could do it with your eyes closed? Or are you just getting on there and praying that you can make it to the end? Okay, my goal is I help day traders understand how to read the markets with absolute confidence and ease. And that's what I do the best. So I want you guys to go here, thetraderchick.com/bootcamp. This is where I teach you the basics, absolute basics. This is how I help you guys get that pure confidence. That's all it takes. Really, I guarantee that's all it takes. It's knowing those basics, and then you too could dominate those markets. It could be, this course is done on any device. You could do it on your phone, a tablet, anywhere. This is what you will get with your course, right? You'll understand everything you need to know to get started setting up your charts. Because if you don't have a tightrope and pretend that you want to be doing a tightrope, how can you do a tightrope app? You need a charting software. You need your equipment. And I know that it could be really stressful to get to do. It took me 3 months to learn how to do mine. So I've cut it all out. There's a whole tutorial. It's all there. So, several different software platforms that I work with you, and boom, you get it up and done 30 minutes. We talk about the trending markets, about the sideways markets. We get all of that, reversal areas, divergences, breakouts. All right, you get over 10 hours of training, lifetime curriculum, but I want to tell you something right now. First of all, the course is normally $297. For you guys today, it's 50% off, $148 lifetime access. However, one thing that I have a massive, massive, massive bonus for you, and it will change everything for you, is this. Let me ask you one specific question. How do you guys actually know that you are doing it right? How do you know you are doing it right? For instance, here's a good example. I have a student here. We were supposed to do the homework of reversal patterns, triple top. So he showed me here. Now, the thing is, this doesn't mean anything. Why? Because we're going down. You need to be looking at the pivots here, not here for that divergence. However, there's massive divergence here, but what he's doing is he's looking at the wrong side. How do you know you're doing it right? Who is there to help you understand that? And look here, we're doing a support area. This is like 5 points. Support area is only here. At this point, you've already included a mini trend. Remember that immediate momentum? How do you know you're doing it right? Also, a run. You have to understand the breakdown of a trend because this is not a run. The run is this mini area with a retracement. Okay, so what I do is I give you guys one-on-one coaching. And I've always had this included in my program. It is included in $148. As of this year now, I am separating that price. I am now charging extra for my coaching. However, for you guys right now, it is still included. You get one entire month, 1 month, one-on-one training with me, with the assignments, with the program. And these are my student testimonials. I have students from all over the world. And really, that training is all that you need the most of. Okay? Oh, hang on a second. I have some questions here. Okay, no, I think we're good. Right. Okay, so again, that one-on-one training, it is $148 right now, including that training, and you send me assignments so you know that you're doing it right. Okay, this is from my students who have worked with me taking the course, and I help you the whole way. Here it is. I wish I found Marina sooner. I was struggling for a year with no progress. Everything makes sense once you go through her course. And I also, so this is the boot camp. This is when I teach you guys all of the basics, the foundation, but I also teach the E-mini course, which I give you the entire strategy, and that is also 50% off. And with that, I am still including 6 months, one-on-one, 6 months, because I am separating now. People who are not here at this presentation right now will not get this 6 months or the 1 month free training. They have to pay me $397 per hour for us to work together, and it is included. 50% off, $148. Honestly, you cannot go wrong. Go here, thetraderchick.com/bootcamp. You can find me here at any of these places, the Trader Chick, for Instagram, Facebook, or you could email me directly at thetraderchick.com. Yeah, you could also go to my website as well. So let's go here. And this is what you will see. This is the boot camp for day trading. Again, we have 50% off, includes the one-on-one for 1 entire month. Let me know if you guys have any questions at all about this. I'm here to help you guys, and I want to talk a little bit about what is happening in the market right now. So this is the live market right here. Hang on a second. Oh. Okay, so I use NinjaTrader. This is my software. So today, as you can see, we have a pretty strong sideways movement, right? This is what I call a tradable channel because we are in between more than 10 points right here. So how do you know that this is a tradable channel? Here is my MACDs. Now, look here. This is when I'm already starting to understand that something isn't working well. We have this movement right here. Look at this massive divergence, right? So when you have such massive divergence, look at that, okay? And here it's going up. I know that the market is about to do something. It's already telling me something is not going to work. And then when it gets to here, it's telling me even more divergence. And now I'm understanding that the market is starting to become into a sideways movement. And I've already started with my resistance area being drawn. This is what I'm seeing in the live market then, right? I'm seeing a reversal pattern happening. I'm seeing a divergence, right? So what do I know? I know that the market is about to do something and I have to understand what it's doing, right? So reading those languages, this is it right here. Now, I'm noticing that the market now is starting to head down, and look here. I'm starting to notice a massive area between the zero line and the actual movement here. Okay, so this is when I will start looking for that mini immediate momentum trade, and this is where I would be looking for a beautiful setup will give me my scalping point. So what is a scalper? Just a quick definition of scalping, especially in the futures market. Here, this grid, this is 1 point. In the futures market, in the ES mini futures market, that is worth $50 per one contract, right? So once you get the strategy down, you can put in 10 contracts for that 1 point, which normally hits between 3 to 15 minutes. I'm noticing majority of my trades are around 3 to 5 minutes long, right? So here it is, 15 minutes at most, but in this case, this was 3 minutes long. 1.10 contracts, what is that? That's $500. You don't have to learn to go in for bigger targets as much as simply putting in higher contract loads, because the probability is showing you that it works much better than, sorry, the probability is over 90% that it's going to work in your direction. So I have a question from Diane about MACDs. What are my settings? Honestly, all of my settings, everything I use is completely universal. Right here are my settings right here. You can see the MACDs, 12, 26, 9. Okay, so it's all universal. Everything I use, you do not need to pay for any indicators at all. I personally use the NinjaTrader software because it's the best for futures. Not only with the interface I love, but it's also because I could trade right off of it, and they have their own broker. Okay, so again, I want to remind you guys, I teach a lot of the basics in thetraderchick.com/bootcamp, and the actual strategy that I show you here for the ES minis, I also teach that, and that is also 50% off, 6 months mentoring program included. Okay, so let me show you here as well. So now we have, this is what is happening, how the live market looks. Meanwhile, I've already gotten this mini trend right here, and now I'm starting to see that there is a mini support area being developed. So like I said before, the market really loves and respects areas, and it keeps on hitting it over and over and over again. Once you understand the areas, I can guarantee your entire trading will be completely changed and taken to new levels. Are you guys ready? I'm here, thetraderchick.com. Please let me know any questions you have. 50% off, $148. Let's learn this. Let's take it up and let's be in the 5%. Thank you so much again. And thanks to Anna for having me, and Happy New Year. And let's get this year started right.
Well, everybody that's here, I'm glad that you're here. I really am. And welcome. Really just, hello and welcome to my presentation, how to virtually guarantee your trading profits and protect yourself from losing money. This is brought to you by Brian McAboy of Inside Out Trading. That would be me. And I'm glad you're here. I really am. I'm excited because you're about to discover what you've been looking for all along. That sounds like a big thing, and it is, because today you're going to discover how to make your trading work, as in produce profits consistently and reliably. This is fun. Like I said, it's exciting because you can do this with any system or method that you want to use. You don't have to use any particular method. This works whether you are a fundamental or a technical trader, whether you trade the news or astrology or a coin flip. What you're going to learn today, you can apply to any of it for very predictable profits. Like I said, so where it's almost virtually guaranteed. And you'll find it, really this is also the best way to protect yourself from losing money. Now, this also happens to be really the most realistic, no nonsense and no BS way to go about your trading. And we do have a short time. Make sure that you do pay attention, please. We only got about 45 minutes. During this time, I will share with you as much as I can. Please save your questions for the end. I have timed this so that we will have time for questions at the end. Please save them. For now, turn off the distractions so that you can gain the benefit that you're here for. And of course, at the end, if you want to take this further, if you like what you're hearing, you want to work with me, I'll tell you how you can do that. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. I also do have an extra reward for you. For being here and sticking around to the end of the presentation. In addition to what you're going to learn, I've got a gift for you. It's called the Trading Plan Financial What If Analyzer. And you'll really like this. It's a great tool that I created for looking at different scenarios and seeing how they'll each affect your account, both now and for the long term. And you get a lot of clarity and confidence by seeing what works and what doesn't, which is better. And anyway, it's just a really cool tool, and it's free, and it's my gift for you. Okay, so as far as this, secret of, virtually guaranteeing your profits, why would I share this with you and not just keep it to myself, counting my piles of money every day? Well, first of all, I don't live with a scarcity mindset. There's certainly way more than enough to go around for everybody. Plus, I really don't see you as a competitor, and that by sharing this with you, my well-being is somehow threatened. I see you as a fellow trader, another good person that wants to provide for those that you love, to support organizations that do good in the world, and to enjoy financial security so that you can live a good life. Excuse me. And I want to help you realize those goals. Besides, I know what it's like to be on the other side. As far as my experience with trading and how I wound up here talking with you, excuse me, just a quick second. As far as how I wound up here talking with you, when I first started out, I actually had the misfortune of starting off making money and doing really well. And yes, I say misfortune for a reason. It was probably the most stressful and emotional period I've ever experienced in my life, except maybe my divorce. That's probably the only thing that really came close. I think I aged about 5 years in my first year of trading. I know I got a lot of gray hairs at that time. But anyway, every time I get into a trade or check my account, it just stressed me out, especially when things were going well. It was just kind of weird that way. But it didn't seem to matter if my account balance was going up or down. I knew I was too young to be having a heart attack, but that's what it felt like, because I get that adrenaline rush, my chest would get all tight and my heart would just be pounding like crazy. And then, of course, when I started the downward spiral of finally blowing up my account, it was just unbelievable. I had a hard time understanding what the heck was happening to me in my life. Here I am, I'm watching myself make all kinds of stupid mistakes, trying desperately to make back money I'd lost, only to lose more, and I wound up killing my account. I wound up losing almost $50,000. And then, of course, I'm having to stand there and tell my wife what had happened. When I first started trading, she didn't want to know. She didn't care. She'd been like, hey, Brian, just go do your thing. I don't care. But it finally came to the point where I had to go in and tell her what had happened. And I'm standing there in the kitchen, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know if I was going to pass out or throw up. My body's shaking, my head's throbbing, and I'm looking at her. And I tell her, and I see the look on her face, and she was just devastated. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I may have just like wrecked my marriage. Fortunately, I didn't. But needless to say, I took a break from trading to regroup. Now, the cool thing about this is, you see, my background is engineering, and especially quality engineering, which I thoroughly enjoy, and I am good at it. Before trading, I'd been working as the quality assurance manager at a $100 million manufacturing plant, where we were #1 in our company for both quality and profits. And after getting my head kicked in with trading, I was like, well, duh. Being honest with myself, I had really just jumped into trading, treating it like a business opportunity or a weekend in Vegas. I was not being serious about it at all, treating it like a business or anything close. I really had totally the wrong mindset about it. And so what I did, I stepped back and I took what I had been doing, making the plant successful, and what I had used there. And then the cool thing is, when I took this quality assurance stuff and that I've been applying in manufacturing, and I applied it to my trading, it was so perfect for trading. I mean, think about it. What's one of the biggest issues you hear about in almost every conversation about trading? It's consistency, right? Well, that's what quality assurance is all about. It's how you get what you're doing dialed in and consistent. That's what quality assurance is in every application, in every business across the planet. And that's what I've been doing on my job. And like I said, I was good at it. So I took what I'd been doing there and I applied it to my trading, and it was absolutely amazing. I was able to come back and just step right into it. And this time around, it was not an emotional ride. I hit the ground running, and it was just smooth sailing, a completely different experience from the first go. And that's how I was able to quit my job in 2005, and I've been free ever since to live life on my terms. And so once I quit the job, though, I had some time to reflect on things, and actually I got a little bit hacked. I really did, primarily with my broker. I mean, I get it. The brokers are incentivized to get you trading as quickly as possible. That's how they get, their personal paychecks. That's how they get paid. But my broker, well, he's acting like my friend. He let me and actually encouraged me to begin active trading with no real training on how to succeed as a trader. I really just knew enough to be dangerous. And really also quite susceptible to scammers. I had one software salesman. He got me for $7,000 for their forward-looking neural network software that really wasn't any better than anything else. But so yeah, I got screwed out of $7,000. And so my ignorance and trusting my broker telling me that I was ready, it cost me big time, big time. Now, well, this is just being part of being a broker, living with the fact that a lot of people are going to come into trading, take a beating, and lose their money and leave. I get that. And they have to figure out how to live with themselves and sleep at night. That doesn't make it okay with me. It really doesn't. So in 2006, I decided to start helping other traders. And the main thing I teach people is how to do the same thing that set me free. Now, since what I did was take the quality assurance principles, practices, and tools and customize them specifically to virtually guarantee profits in trading, I call this the profit assurance model. Because again, it really is assurance. It's where you're going into everything knowing. And I'll share the details with you here in just a minute. But first, it's important that you understand something about yourself. Again, I've been helping traders for 14 years, and this is a common thing. And if you've been having your challenges with trading, having a hard time making money, maybe losing money, and you're questioning yourself, thinking that perhaps there's something wrong with you, that maybe you have some subconscious issues that need to be addressed, some mommy daddy issues or, whatever, that you need fixing. Well, understand something. Just the simple fact that you've made it this far, that you're even in a position to trade, demonstrates that you have the traits to make it as a trader. I mean, obviously, you're okay enough with money, you're okay enough with discipline, you're okay enough with success and being organized and working hard just to be in a position to trade. You've already proven through your actions and demonstrated that you have what it takes. You've demonstrated all these things. So for you to question yourself, I mean, I understand there's reason for it, but understand you've demonstrated that you have what it takes. And so, yes, you don't have personal issues. Here's one of the things that I've discovered in my years of helping traders. If you take a person of reasonable intelligence and you throw them into a job without adequate training for that job, it's going to be stressful, probably not going to get very good results, and there's almost no way for it not to be an emotional experience. But if you take that same person and you give them proper training and preparation for the job, they're not going to have any psychological issues. You just go do your thing and you're fine. I mean, the biggest emotional rush is, that you're excited, kind of like, an athlete before a game, yeah, you're excited for the game, but you don't have all these, horrible issues that everybody experiences in trading. And it's not a big emotional ride like, I went through and so many other traders went through. So again, understand, you don't have personal issues. You don't have psychological issues. You've demonstrated that you have what it takes. Now, why I do what I do, and I'm sharing this with you because it really is important. I've found that untrained traders tend to lose, just like I did, like everybody that comes to me. So I give traders the knowledge and skills they need to trade with confidence and actually have a better than average chance of succeeding. This is my mission and what I do. Now, another simple truth that's really important: if you're trading with real money and you don't know your outcome, then honestly, you're gambling and very likely to lose money. And the only way to survive and thrive as a trader is to go into it knowing that you'll make money with a very high level of certainty, not hoping, all that kind of stuff. I mean, why do I bring it up? Well, a lot of traders really aren't operating from a position of knowing. They're trading on hope, hunches, claims, opinions, fear, revenge, desperation, false confidence, pipe dreams, and wishful thinking. I went through all that. I mean, I experienced all of this stuff. That's where the list came from. It was my own experience, and people that I talked to, everybody's going through this. And the thing is, none of that makes for sound, profitable, predictable, sustainable trading. That's the main thing. Now, you may have had this, the same thought that I've heard expressed on many occasions, hey, all I need is a good system. And there is merit to that notion. But the problem is there are dozens of strategies for trading. I sat down to list them all out one time. The general strategies, like trend following, zigzag trading, volume system analysis, Gann trading, LA trading. There are dozens of general strategies out there. I sat down to list them out, and I stopped counting at 40. And anyway. There are also, if you think about it, okay, so you have dozens of general strategies, and you get into the details, there are literally thousands of trading systems and plans out there. Thousands, actually millions of different combinations if you really put the numbers to it. So here's the thing. If you're looking for a good one that you can count on, both now and for long term, you're going to find that most trading systems suck. They really do. From the perspective of them being user-friendly, highly repeatable, and easy to trade consistently over time, a good plan is really hard to find. Now, to be a truly self-sufficient, truly independent trader, you need to have the skill set and the know-how to do this yourself, to make your system a good system. And this is why I'm excited to share this with you, the profit assurance method. It really, this is what my clients are using to usually quickly add $5,000 a month to their bottom line. And I want to show you how to use this method to grow your trading account. And because here's the thing, a solid trading system that you can count on is absolutely essential for consistent, reliable profits for any length of time. But the problem is finding a system that actually works, and if it does work for more than a week or two or three, or trying to create a system of your own and get it working, all this is pretty difficult and very time consuming. And so this, this new method that I've got is a shortcut around all of that. It's the fastest method I've discovered to stop the bleeding if you've been losing money, to quickly add an extra $5,000 a month to your bottom line, seriously, to restore your confidence if it's been crushed. That's, believe it or not, that's a top thing when people come to me. I'll ask people, what are you wanting out of this coaching? What's one of your objectives? A lot of the time, people say the main thing I want, Brian, I want my confidence. I'm just so tired of having my confidence crushed. And so I'll ask them, rate it, where are you at? And they'll be usually like a 1 or a 2. And so what I'm about to teach you is how to get your confidence back to an 8 or a 9. Without having to, you don't have to switch to a new system or method. Again, this applies to anything you want to use, what you got now, if you want to look at something else. And you don't have to waste time trying to fix psychological issues that you really don't have, or trying to trick your brain into somehow turning off your emotions and cranking up your discipline. No, it's just, now I'm going to show you the details here in just a minute. But first, I need to give you an overview of why this method works so well. and why it really does turn things around. I mean, what nearly all traders do, step one, they buy a system or a signal service or a newsletter or tips or trade of the day, and they assume that the system that they just bought is well designed for consistency. So they get busy trading, trying to make money, but things rarely work out as planned, at least not for long. And it usually doesn't take long until unexpected losses and disappointments begin and, become a regular thing. And so they start messing with their system. And then they quickly realize, this is only making things worse. So, step three, they finally, bring their attention around to focusing, specifically on trying to be consistent and sticking to their system, usually in the form of blaming themselves, beating them up, a lot of self-deprecation and thinking that they just need to be more disciplined. And here's the big disconnect. I mean, here's the big thing, the big, huge assumption that's a problem. Everybody thinks that if you have a clever strategy and, you add some rules and some indicators, that somehow equals a trading system or plan that can be executed consistently over hundreds or thousands of trades over weeks or months or years. And that's just plain not true. A strategy with some rules and indicators does not equal a good system. That's the thing. Now, a common frustration a lot of people have, people buy trading systems, you probably have too, and complain that it doesn't work or it's difficult to trade. And so you stop using it. Well, the funny thing is there are a lot of very sincere traders or traders who create systems and sell them. I know several of them personally. I've known them for years. They're good guys. They're sincere. They're not scammers. And their systems work, and they'll package them up and they'll sell them, and people will, try them. And after a couple of weeks, they stop using them, and then they turn around and telling the guy, well, your system's crap. And the guys get frustrated. The guy who created the system, he's like, Brian, I know it works. I've been using it for 5 years, 10 years, and it makes money. And these people, they're not following it. And so it's a common frustration that people buy systems and they don't work. And here's the thing. It's because they don't know how to make it, again, user-friendly and designed for consistency. Now, this new method really is all about being calculated and intentional, operating from the position of knowing and not leaving your profits to chance. Here's the thing. I didn't invent this. I used this model during my years as a certified quality engineer and quality assurance manager. And by using this model and applying the quality tools, principles, and practices at the plant, we enjoyed a nearly zero defect rate, and we made a lot of money. And the premise is both sound and simple, and it's been proven to work in nearly every industry on the planet to maximize profits, minimize losses and costs, and provide tremendous security and peace of mind for the owners and managers of the businesses. And as a trader, you want the same thing. You want to execute your strategy well, and you want to do it well every time. And you want to know that you'll be executing your strategy just as well next month, 3 months from now, 6 months from here, and a year from now as you do today. And just like in any business, but especially for traders, inconsistencies are a direct cost and come straight off your bottom line. So that's why in quality, we start there. Step one is to craft your winning trading system and design your process specifically for consistency. And step two, very simply, we confirm that it works as intended and produces the desired output. Again, this is quality assurance practices. This is like QA 101. And then step three is to make it better through continuous improvement. And the big idea behind this is to have a very intentional and calculated positive control over your outcomes. That's the thing. We're not leaving things to chance. Again, you want to go into it knowing that you're going to make money. And with the profit assurance method, you establish success first, then you start trading, and then build on your success. And it's really cool. And one of the greatest things is that you wind up the repeatable and reliable aspect. It's built in from the start. That's where we start. We don't get around to it after we've been trying for a while to make money. This is where we start. So step one really is all about crafting the winning trading system. And the first thing you want to do is make sure your system is as user-friendly and as clear as possible. And you don't want to be clever about it. You would just want to focus on repeatability, and that's huge. And as far as the method, again, the method that you use, time frame that you trade, it really doesn't matter at this point. It really doesn't. And then we're going to evaluate it for functionality. That's it. We're not worried about profits at this point. We just want to make sure that, we've got things, defined and documented properly, again, with consistency built into it, and then we want to test it to make sure that, yes, the consistency is there. And when you do this right, it's really cool because you'll have a trading system that's easy to trade and trade consistently. And that's like the whole point. I mean, you want to have a system that produces predictable profits over hundreds of trades over the months and years to come. And my clients have been trading, hang on, hang on just a second. Sorry about that. Here's a quick example of the results that you can get from this. I had this client, I've been trading for just over 5 years, and he came to me, and again, the confidence was a big thing. His was just wrecked. He was at about a 2. And after simplifying and restructuring his trading system, putting it together right, he had his first profitable month in over 2 years. And he was just ecstatic. He was thrilled because he had been losing money. It was stressing every aspect of his life, his marriage, everything. And now his confidence was at a 9. And he commented also that he dropped 8 pounds because his stress was gone. He wasn't doing the stress eating and all that kind of stuff, and all the, the physical price he was paying for the stress from his trading not performing. So, that's one of the things that happens when you do this right. Step 2, we want to confirm the performance. Once after we get our system crafted, we want to confirm that it works as intended. And again, it's all being about intentional and calculated, no guesswork, no wishful thinking, or going on anyone's claims. And this really is where the rubber meets the road. And unfortunately, it's also where most people mess things up. We want to determine the potentials for, your winning trading system so that you know what it can and can't be expected to deliver. And and this really is what a lot of my clients really love the most about this part is you get to see some realistic expectations so that you don't have any nasty surprises or yet another disappointment. Now, when you know how to do this the correct way, you go to the markets every day with a strong sense of security and peace of mind and confidence. And again, you're going into it knowing, not hoping or wishing or guessing. Here's another example. I had this client of mine. I've been trading for 3 years, and he'd been fighting tremendous hesitation. It was huge. He couldn't get his actual. One of his biggest frustrations was he couldn't get his actual trading results to match up with his back testing. That was his biggest frustration. He would get a system or make a system of his own or whatever, and he could never get his actual results to match up with his back testing. I showed him the right approach for sampling and testing, plus how to read the numbers, and it was cool because now things are matching up. The reality is matching up with his expectations because he had proper expectations, and his hesitation, it fell away. He didn't even have to try anymore. He wasn't fighting it because his stress and his anxiety were gone. And that's really just totally cool. Okay, so the third step in this is to make it better. Here's the thing. You want to employ an organized, calculated, and continuous improvement method. That's, again, this is part of the quality process. The main thing is you want to avoid just trial and error stuff. Again, having an organized method and an approach to it all. And the biggest thing about this, the market is going to change moods. There are going to be, different things that come into play over time. Maybe, like might be a whole new marketplace. Maybe an exchange, they'll introduce new contracts or whatever. Things are constantly changing in the trading world. Sometimes big changes, sometimes small changes. But when there are changes that happen, you need to be able to adapt easily when the market, when things do change. When you know how to do this, your trading profits stay maximized so that you're not losing, you're not leaving money on the table, and your stress levels, again, stay low, and your confidence and your security high because you know how to deal with it. In the 2007-2008 crash, I had a lot of people coming to me and they were just stressed out. They're like, Brian, the system that I had, it's not working anymore. What do I do? When you know how to respond to what happens in the market, when you can respond to changes, that's when you really have that personal security in what you're doing. So I got this email from one of my clients specifically about this. Brian, I just want to drop you a quick note. Sincerely, thank you for all your help and assistance with trading. Even though I've been trading for 11 years, I was struggling with inconsistent returns, recurring mistakes, and a lack of true direction. But all that changed quickly after getting your assistance and putting to work your tools and recommendations. Thanks again for your help and support. Again, it's just being able to get organized about it and really, again, going into it with the being intentional and knowing. Okay, so here's a real quick recap on how I can help you. Step one, I help you craft a winning trading system with consistency built in. That's where we start, so that you can count on it to perform now and both now and for the long term. Step two, help you confirm that it works and do this the right way so that you can realistically expect your system to perform and meet your financial objectives. Again, realistic expectations and knowing that it's going to work right. And then step three, getting into the continuous improvement process so that your trading delivers to its full potential. And if the market mood does change, you know how to respond in a calculated, organized, and low stress manner. Now, there is one more important matter, one huge mistake that I see people make all the time we need to talk about. I had this one guy, he sent me his trading system. It was 18 pages. I mean, he had this, it was like this one system, and he was trying to capture every possible profit opportunity, and it was all piled into this one system. And he had just basically taken, bits and pieces, different systems, different indicators, all this kind of stuff, and had this huge system that he was trying to trade. And he just wound up with a gigantic mess that wasn't profitable, and it was really hard for him to trade. And you need to understand, there is no one size fits all. I mean, there are some people, that say, oh, I got the system, you can use it in any market, any time frame, anything. And it's like, no, not really. Your different systems are going to have different performance levels in different market conditions. And there are very, very few that can be used at all times under all circumstances. Very few. I mean, the one that I know works in any market condition is a coin flip, where it's based on randomness anyway. So anyway, even those though, the ones that are pretty robust and can be used all over the place, they're going to have a wide range of performance. Like I said, they're not always going to be at performing their best. So there are three general market conditions that occur on any given day, but also general moods and external factors that can affect how any given system will perform. And in the one respect, if you think about it, trading's like football. In a football game, on every down, you've got a different situation in front of you. Maybe it's first and 10, maybe it's second and short, maybe it's third and long. And the thing is, you're going to use certain plays depending on the situation. You don't use the same play every time. And so as a coach, you have a playbook, all these different plays, and you're going to use whatever play is appropriate for that situation. Well, as a trader, you want a playbook too. I mean, of course, you have to start with one system that works, but over time, you want to develop a portfolio of systems, kind of a playbook of your own, so that no matter what's going on in the markets, no matter what the markets are doing, you have the appropriate system to use in those conditions. And that's the best one to use in those conditions. I mean, a system that works really well in a highly volatile market, probably not going to do well in a choppy market. You want to use a different system. So this is what we're talking about, is developing this playbook. And the profit assurance really is how you build that. By applying a profit assurance method, one system at a time, you will over time have different systems that you can use, so that no matter what's going on in the markets, you're well positioned really to make the most of whatever's going on. And instead of freaking out like everyone else does when things change, you just simply pull out the right play from your playbook and have some fun making money. And that's the whole point. Again, it's about being intentional and approaching your trading in a calculated, organized, business-like, and most importantly, knowing manner. You don't want to be going on hope, wishful thinking, guesswork, or any of that kind of stuff, because that's how people lose money in trading. So this very same method I've outlined to you is what I personally use to keep my trading consistently profitable and stress-free. And if you'd like for me to give you my complete blueprint and help you create your own profitable trading operation, I would be delighted to help you. I'll personally lead you through a series of lessons and exercises where I show you exactly how to define and document your trading procedure, confirm that it works, and then dial it in to meet your goals and expectations, and then also how to make changes to your system when you need to. My mission really is to give you the skills, tools, process, and experience to trade with confidence and make consistent profits. This training, it usually takes about 30 days on average for most people, give or take a week. And here's what you get. It's called Profit Assurance for Trading, for traders. And you got Trading System Mastery, the Trader's Guide to Emotional Management, the Trading Performance Analyzer, several tools that all come together that are part of the method. And really, the first thing is you want to document your system in a manner that's easy to follow and execute consistently. You want to know to the dollar what the monthly profit potential is for your trading system. No guesswork. I mean, you'd be amazed how many people have no clue what the monthly profit potential is for their trading system. They just have no idea. They have no idea what they should be making, what their trading system is capable of or not capable of. You want to know realistically what to expect from your system in terms of profit, drawdown, winning percentage, and average return per trade. And you want to know when to use your system and when to leave it on the sidelines. Again, you don't want to be using a system that's not geared for those circumstances. Again, one in a highly volatile system, probably not going to do well in choppy markets. Okay. And then you also want to be able to dial in and tweak your system so that it delivers maximum profit, so you're not leaving money on the table. And again, you want to adapt when you need to, but in a calculated and organized way, not just a bunch of trial and error, so that you know what helps and what doesn't. And you also want to be able to track your important metrics as you go along, so that when you have a drop in performance, you can spot it immediately and you know whether to act now or just leave things alone, that yes, this is appropriate and normal for the system. So by now, I mean, I just told you about profit assurance method. You probably want to know about the cost. And then when you enroll, you get everything. You get the mental preparation to truly understand, to truly leverage this for maximum profit. Your trading system gets defined and documented in a super user-friendly way, making it easy to trade and execute consistently. Again, that's critical and key. You want it to be easy. You don't want discipline to be a hard fight. And you get your system benchmarked so that you know to the dollar what its capabilities and limitations are. You get your system, properly dialed in for maximum profit delivery, and you also get a powerful tool for tracking and monitoring your system performance, so that you can act when you need to, keep your profits flowing. But there's more. Like I said, part of it's the Trader's Guide to Emotional Management, the psychology of trading. Now, again, when you get the training that you didn't get when you first started out, that attends to a lot of it. But you may have some psychological stuff because of your rough experiences with your trading. You have some stuff to deal with. That's what this guide is for. As another bonus, and this one's really huge. One thing I've learned in working with traders over time is you have primarily two roles to address. I mean, when you're an independent, self-employed, self-directed trader, you're wearing all the hats. You're the investor in the business. You're the the owner of the business. You're the manager of the business. You're the planner, the daily organizer. You're the trading system analyst, and the trader, of course. Your QA, your accounting. You've got all these different hats. So, but like I said, there are primarily two roles. You're the owner and manager of the business, and you're the trader. And so the profit assurance attends to primarily the trading system part of it, and the daily trading, making sure that what you've got is good and solid and you're good with your system. But you also have this role of being the owner and manager of your trading business, and it's really important that you look at it this way so that you have direction and you keep things organized. You don't wind up on a bunch of detours and stuff. And so I created this training specifically to complement the profit assurance, where this addresses your role as owner and manager of the business. And it's weekly lessons that come to you, like I call it the Trading Pick Club, Professionals in Training. But it's the lessons to attend to your owner role. And you get the first 4 lessons. And again, it's a 6-month program. You get the first 4 lessons. And these are really the foundational exercises for your trading business, the bigger picture stuff to really help you get dialed in, make sure that going into it, you're going into it in a way that's congruent for you. It's going to meet up with, your personal objectives. And now it's a part of a 6-month program. It's normally $99 a month. You get the first month free. If you want to continue, great. If not, just cancel. That's fine. But these 4 lessons, I wanted to include them here because, again, they're the foundational stuff, and I wanted to make sure you had them. They're really great for getting your trading business organized, focused, and planned. So now, as far as the 3 levels of involvement, when people come to me, sometimes people they'll want to hire me one-on-one, or I'm just working specifically with them, and I do that. I also have group coaching, where it's kind of in between, instead of you and me just working one-on-one, we've got a group of people. We get together once a week. You get your lessons as far as the profit assurance, and then we'll get on the group calls to attend to questions and reviews and that kind of stuff. Or you can just do online videos if you like working by yourself and you want to handle things on your own schedule. You don't really need any involvement from me. That's fine. Now, if you want to talk to me about the live coaching, go here to this link. And it's where you can find out a little bit more about that and schedule a call with me where we can discuss it. Just go to insideouttrading.com/PA-live. The PA is for Profit Assurance, live, PA live. And like I said, that's where you can schedule a time with me, and we'll talk, and we'll see how I can help you get your trading where you want it to be. But if you're more conservative, you just want to work on on your own pace and at your own schedule with online videos, that's fine. Here's how to do that. Everything's available 24/7 online, so you can go at your own pace, your own convenience. You get videos, templates, spreadsheets, and more stuff. And I am here to help you with that. If that's the route you want to go, you can email me anytime, and I'll answer any questions that you have. And again, if you look at all that you're getting the Trading System Mastery, the Trading Performance Analyzer, the Trader's Guide to Emotional Management, the free month of the Pick Club. Altogether, it's $1,542. Normally, the Profit Assurance Program, the video, the online video, is $997. Since you're here on this call right now, you can get it for $497. This is an extra bonus for action takers. And what I'm talking about is if you're one of the first 20 to enroll, you can save $500 and just use the coupon Early Bird. And again, you're getting Trading System Mastery, you're getting the Trading Performance Analyzer, you're getting the Trader's Guide to Emotional Management and the Pick Club. And if you sign up right now, while we're on a call today, it's just $497. That's half what it is normally. Now, again, you can go to this URL right here to go ahead and sign up if you want to do that. It's insideouttrading.com/PAFT, Profit Assurance for Traders, and that's how you can get started there. Now, understand, I'm here to help you make it. I'm not just here to sell stuff. So I do back my work with a 60-day peace of mind money-back guarantee. And here's the thing. This program is the best thing you can do for yourself and for your trading. I am absolutely confident in that. And again, I'm excited about it because I know this works. I've seen it turn around hundreds of traders' lives over the years, and I really would love to do the same thing for you. In the unlikely event that you put these lessons to use and they don't produce the promised result, your trading being more organized, more effective, and you having a high level of confidence with it, just let me know and I will promptly give you a full refund. It's that simple. I want to see you succeed. If what I've got for you doesn't produce, it doesn't work, just let me know. And again, now, also thank you for attending. I told you that I got a gift for you. The Trading Plan Financial What If Analyzer. So if you want to go to insideouttrading.com/what-if-gift, that's where you can get that. And again, it's a really cool tool. I appreciate that you're here and you're taking the time to invest your time in yourself and look to develop as a trader, to get better. A lot of people, they'll just want to buy systems or services and treat it like an easy button where they can just throw money at the markets and never really focus on developing themselves as traders. I very much appreciate that you're here looking to better yourself and grow and expand your abilities. And again, with Profit Assurance for Traders. Now, again, we do have some time for questions. And let me check the chat. Questions.
Testing.
Hello. Oh, the testing. All right. Anyway, yeah, as far as with the Profit Assurance for Traders, if you want to get started, like I said, with the online videos, go to insideouttrading.com/PAFT, and you can save $500. You get 50% off the regular price to do that. Just use the code EARLYBIRD. And for the gift, go to insideouttrading.com/what-if-gift. Now, questions that I commonly get are, Brian, let's see. How is this different from courses on how to create trading systems? Well, there are a bunch of courses out there on how to create trading systems, and I cringe every time I look at them. They basically say, decide on your time frames, pick your charts, pick your indicators, and get busy. I mean, it's insane what people are putting out there as far as how to put together a trading system. And again, really, this is how to take whatever method that you've got and properly systemize it. Again, my background is quality assurance and engineering. I have a degree in mechanical engineering. I worked in engineering and manufacturing for a lot of years. I've consulted with businesses over the years, for over 30 years, and it's almost always the quality assurance kind of stuff that I bring to it to help people fix what they've got going on. Because again, quality assurance, it's about taking what you're doing, getting really good at it, and then making it consistent. And the quality assurance approach is We start with consistency. We don't make the mistake of chasing, trying to get consistent afterwards. We start with consistency, we establish success, and then we grow, we build on that success. And that's the whole approach. And that's how you can really, again, virtually guarantee your profits and really protect yourself from losing. I mean, when you know how to do this, you're not really susceptible to scammers because you don't need them anymore. There's not much of a temptation for what they have to offer you because you know how to take care of yourself. Where so many people get hung up and get hurt as traders is because they're lacking some knowledge, they're lacking some abilities, and so you're dependent on other people. You have to look to other people to create a trading system for you, and you're dependent on their integrity and their honesty and their system for it to work, and their ability to create a system that is going to be lend itself to consistency and not have functional flaws and that kind of stuff. As long as you have that dependency on other people, that's what leaves you susceptible to scammers. My goal is to make you, again, fully functional and totally self-sufficient, so you can stand on your own 2 feet. You don't need anybody to trade and trade comfortably and trade profitably. You don't even need me. That's my ultimate goal, is where you're getting what you want out of trading, and you don't have to go through the long, hard years of losses and hard lessons to get there, trying to figure it out on your own. This quality assurance stuff works. It's been proven in businesses around the world for decades, and it works wonderfully well for trading. And if you think about it, I mean, if your goal is to be making, $5,000 or $10,000 a month, $500 is a pretty small investment to make sure that, you're going to be getting the results that you want. Again, not leaving things up to hope or chance or claims or any of that kind of nonsense. Another question here, let's see, does this really attend to psychological issues? Absolutely. Like I told you, one of the biggest things, the reason it's an emotional ride is if you're trying to do a job that you're not prepared for, it's going to be an emotional ride. It's going to be stressful. But think about it. When you are going in to do something and you know what you're doing, you've got the skills, you've got the experience, you've done things with your own 2 hands, you go into it knowing that you're okay, it's not an emotional ride. You just go do your thing. And that's the wonderful thing about it. The biggest problem, like I said, one of my biggest discoveries is untrained traders tend to lose. And if you're trading stressful, if it's emotional, if you're struggling to make money or keep it when you do make money, it's likely that it's not a personal thing. You're lacking training in how to do this, how to make whatever strategy you want to employ, how to make it repeatable so that when you place a good trade, you can repeat on the good trades in the dynamic environment that trading is. Again, with quality assurance, it's about eliminating inconsistencies in variables. And if your system or you are introducing variables and inconsistencies, that's money out of your pocket. By going through this, you're eliminating inconsistencies. You're eliminating variables because now you can go into it very consistent, very solid. You're not a variable. Your system isn't a variable. So that's really what it's all about. I think it's about time to wrap things up. I'm looking at my clock. That's 1:14. And if you have any questions, just go to insideouttrading.com. That's my site. I've been doing this for 14 years. I would love to help you make it. Like I said, I got into this because I know that there are a lot of brokers that don't care. They send people out trading, knowing only enough to be dangerous. Happen to a lot of people. I'd love to help you, really get the training that you didn't get when you got started trading, so you can realize the goals that you're here for. Yeah, I guess it's about time to hand over the screen. Anna, you there?
Yeah, thank you, Brian, for the great offer. So it's only for the 20 people works, right? We won on the first 20.
On the first
About your.
Yep.
Okay, so we better hurry up.
Yep. Yeah, again, thank you everybody for being here. I wish you the best and a happy new year. And Anna, thank you for having me. And I hope you have a great holiday and get on with your time off like everybody else where you are. So.
Okay, so just first and foremost, I see, always kind of get a little run through of the room. So I see it here, a chat and questions. And is there a better, which one should I keep my eye on, the chat or the questions?
Chat for the links and questions for Q&A.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys and gals. First and foremost, I'm sure everyone has told you thus far. I certainly hope so. Happy New Year, right? 2020 is, you know, we've been making jokes about it. It's insane. I don't know about you guys, but it just does not seem like it should be 2020 already, right? But anyway, it is, and we're thrilled about that. Especially we at PFA are thrilled about it. We'll talk about why in just a moment. But anyway, let me go ahead and get started. And if you guys will, if you have questions, I am going to be spending, I'd say probably 80+% of the time on the live charts. I'm going to keep it quick today. I know you guys have things to do, as do we. So I'll keep it brief. You know, today won't be going all over the board or anything. But if you have questions, do feel free to type them into the chat or the questions there. I'll make sure. As a matter of fact, give me just 1 second. Let me kind of, what I'm going to do is move this over so that I can make sure I don't miss questions. Do please bear in mind as I'm just talking, a little bit more difficult to get to them in real time, but don't worry. So there will probably be questions. I will certainly go back and spend however much time I need, you know, make sure all the questions get answered, things like that. If you keep an eye on the chat as well, I may post a link in there. As a matter of fact, let me do that. Let me do that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and post you guys a link in here and make sure this goes out to everyone. All right, so what I'm doing is just posting, it's just a direct link, right? It's just a link to our site. The reason that I'm posting that is because as I'm talking, feel free to navigate the website or whatever. And I'm not going to give you some, you know, I'll throw you a discount today, sure, but I'm not going to give you a sales pitch. I'm kind of just here to be honest with you, I'm a little bit just more excited to, you know, that it's 2020 and it's a big year for PFA. So I'm just going to, you know, I'll talk a little bit about the company and what we're going to be doing this year. And then more importantly, we're going to be focusing on, today we're going to be focusing on our automation. This is one of the biggest things that we'll be doing for the entirety of the year. This is what I'll personally be using on my live account and things to that extent. So you guys will get a sneak peek, if you will, into all of that and how it works and everything. As I mentioned, I'm sure I'm going to have the questions. It is automated. We've been working on this for a very long time and things like that. So you'll be able to see all of that today. Made some tweaks along the way. Of course, it's one of those things with automation. You have to get it, you know, automation is very black and white, right? There is no gray area. It's either an if, then, else scenario. And if it doesn't fit in the if and the then, well, it fits into the else, which handles all cases, right? So again, there's no gray area there. So let me get you Academy, acronym PFA, online trading education community dedicated to price action confluence techniques, including supply and demand, right? So there is so much more to it. Supply and demand happens to be one of our execution strategies, and I would say that, you know, the more that we've moved in time, and you will see this today. So supply and demand to a lot of people is like the holy grail, right? It's everything, and they're, oh, I gotta, you know, that's all I do. Well, to us, it is just a component of what we do. And again, I think let me just kind of revisit that when we get back out onto the charts so that you see why I would say that. And just to, you know, preface it, you'll see that we, let's say, for example, our automated swing trading doesn't actually use the zones for the entry, but of course we do use the zones. So again, I just wanted to preface it with that, so you wonder, if you're wondering why I'm saying that, it'll make sense. All right. So our mission is, of course, to provide a positive and effective environment, as we always try to do, okay, for all traders and investors who wish to utilize very objective trading methods. We also want you to share your experiences. As you become a member, of course, you can welcome yourself, not welcome yourself, introduce yourself onto our forum. So there's a members only forum, things like that. You get to converse and with others on the same path as yourself, right? So here we go. PFA, I mentioned that 2020 is a special year. So this is the official, you know, when I say official, I've been doing this for quite a long time, but this is the official decade anniversary, right? So it is a big year for us. And it's not like we've been planning to do all of this on the 10th year. It just has panned out this way. So, you know, I wonder what Fibonacci would have to say about that, you know. But anyway, that being said, we have some pretty big things. Like I said, the automation, especially finally being able to just let it run on our accounts and everything like that is great. So it is going to be a big one. We have other things that are coming in the pipeline too. So very excited. All right, great. So let's go ahead. Let me get to PowerPoint here. I'm going to just really go through this super fast. I really don't think that you guys want to spend too much time on a PowerPoint. I'm sure you may have seen some others or what have you, but let's maybe spend the pungency of our time on the actual chart and the automation, okay? So today we will be talking about our automated swing trading, all right? We're going to be referring to our SD model as well as our zone suite. And I'll talk a bit about the company offerings, training forum, and so on, which all together encompass the PFA community in its entirety, all right? Most especially, we want to get started with the tool that removes the subjectivity. All right, so when we talk about the PFA Zone Suite, let me go ahead and kind of differentiate these for you. So if you're wondering what they are and how they work in conjunction, here it is. We have the PFA Zone Suite. The PFA Zone Suite in itself is, obviously it's automated, meaning all of the calculations are done for us, things to that extent. However, it does not have built-in order placement. It does, well, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't execute the orders itself. It does have order management, so we can certainly place trades from it, you know, things like that. But there is a click of a button, you know, that some form of manual input, if you will. So we do have to manually click that button. But again, all of the calculations, everything being done is automated. So the Zone Suite in itself, fully compatible with NinjaTrader 8. I understand that there are some people that just can't get there yet, but we have been there for pretty much since the beginning. You know, we've helped with numerous bugs and things like that, and I would say that NinjaTrader 8 is very, very efficient. They're doing a great job over there getting things done. So we're proudly compatible with NinjaTrader 8. Now, the PFA Zone Suite is designed to reduce your subjectivity in determining high probability future turning points on any price chart. It utilizes many, many things, some of which price recognition, volume distribution, market volatility, and so on and so forth. All right. The calculations that are being derived are displayed on the chart with rectangles, for example, and many other custom graphics. We try to go above and beyond. A lot of times we don't even use, you know, draw tools. We'll custom design something, or, you know, it's not that we're doing it to be fancy, but sometimes there is a need for it. For example, we've spent ample amounts of time on our efficiency, and that's important because if I'm going to be using something, I want it to be efficient. Okay, so you'll see how many different calculations, and there are hundreds of calculations being made in the back end, and we yet can still load, you know, 1,000 days, no problem. Okay, things like that. All right. So you can use the PFA Zone Suite for a full-blown trading plan if you desire. You can use it for confluence purposes. It is called the Zone Suite for a reason, because there are many things built into it. So let's just keep going real quick, show you some of those. You can see here that we have a multitude of data points, and just looking on you know, the image here, you can see that there's zones, there's structure or dynamics, there's trend lines, there are tags or labels, there's order profile. So there's a lot, and this is just some of it, of course. You can also see that there are zones within zones. Okay, so we'll talk about the simultaneous usage here in just a little bit as well. But more, I would like to do that when we're actually looking at it on the chart. Okay, so a lot of things, guys, and it would take me forever to go into all of them. That's why I wanted to go ahead and give you the link to our website. If you click on our link on the home page, right there at the top, I can show you this in a moment, but it says, I think to the extent of 3 free training videos. That's obviously free, but if you sign up for that, it's just a newsletter. That's really all that is. If you sign up for that, though, we're going to be doing a ton of free events and things like that, and we will be happy to issue you the invites, right? So as long as you're on one of our newsletters, of course, you'll get the invites to the events. Obviously, you'll get 3 free training videos and all that good stuff as well. So we'll be going into each aspect of it. Today, I obviously won't be able to do that given the time restraints, But again, if you just get on that newsletter, if you're interested at all, if not, that's okay. You know, I don't want to waste your time for sure. But you jump on there and we'll get everything answered for you in time. All right. So how do we use this stuff? So we have a demand zone here. We're just going to talk about it real quick. A demand zone is comprised of a demand low and a demand high. We can use that information in our strategy calculations. So the SD model is a full-blown automated strategy builder, which means that it can take any and all data points that we have, and it can literally combine them. It can use some or all of them. It's very conditional, all right? So it can do anything. It's very, very extensive. And I'm going to show you guys a little something today that might surprise you, okay? I'm going to show you how I use, like I said, I'm going to show you what I'm going to, you know, it's already on my live account as we speak. So I am going to show you that, but I think you'll be a little bit surprised at how we do things. I think it's a little bit different, right? It's not a single strategy. More importantly, we really mix in multiple strategies to combine makes one strategy, okay? So what we can say here is if the demand high is touched, issue a long entry. This is not how we're doing it, okay? But I'm trying to show you how simple this is. And this is just like any strategy, right? It's going to have a certain calculation. It's going to say if this occurs, then, you know, issue out a long entry or short entry or, you know, whatever the condition is, so long as the condition is being met, then of course it's going to execute in accordance with whatever the code has, you know, told it to do. Okay, give me just 1 second here. All right, there we go. Don't want to lose. I'm on my laptop today. We're out of town. I hope that you guys are having fun because I know we have been. It's been the holidays, right? So anyway, bear with me. I just had to plug in my laptop there. Don't want to die on you. Okay, so we have a demand high, demand low, and so on and so forth. We could say in this particular instance, we're just simply saying if the demand high is touched, execute in accordance with, right? So you can see there a couple of times the demand high is touched. We leave the area, come back to it, touched again, and so on. So that's just literally data points being used that you'll see in the strategy. Now here you'll see a little bit more. This is what we talked about, that simultaneous time frame usage. As you can see, a small red zone, that zone is actually inside of a very big zone. Well, what we are capable of doing in our software is defining multiple and simultaneous time frame zones. So I could say put a 60-minute inside of a daily zone and only show me the 60-minute levels that are indeed within the daily, okay, or weekly, or 5-minute within a 60-minute, or you know, you name it, okay? All the time frames, doesn't really matter, but we are capable of doing that. Now, what is that? You know, where's the benefit in that? Well, used to, as you guys probably know, if you've ever traded supply and demand or support and resistance, or pretty much, I would say most strategies, you're typically going to look at multiple time frames, right? You're going to say, hey, well, I need to look at a daily, and I need to look at a 60, and maybe I need to look at a 5 or 15 or whatever. And with that being said, well, you got to have up multiple charts. Okay, so now you have more CPU intensiveness now, and that's fine, but you have too much to look at. You got to look at the right screen, the left screen, or if you have 2 charts on one, it's cumbersome, right? You got a lot going on. But we can do this from one chart now. So we don't really need to have up all of those charts. I can literally place that right there on the same chart, no problem, okay? So those are other things that we can do. If I wanted to set a condition on that, I could say, okay, well, if price comes within the, I'm just using, I honestly don't recall if these are daily or weekly zones or whatever, so it doesn't matter. There are multiple time frames. So what I'm going to say here is if price comes into the daily zone and price touches the supply low, then execute in accordance with, take a short position, right? So those are now multiple conditions that we're implementing on the supply zones. A couple of other things I want to show you just before we get out to the charts. This is our order management data points. And so I told you guys before that order management was built in. Indeed it is. And this can all be done from directly from the chart with just a click of a button. And it's pretty nice because we have so much built in here. It keeps so many calculations. And this is why I want you to sign up for that newsletter, because I just can't go into this. I would tell you each and everything that I'm touching on here has about 20 to 50 points that I really want to make, right? So let's just give you an example here. We have the demand stop, we have the entry, trigger line, target 1, 2, and 3, right? Okay, great, got that. So this is order management, kind of like an OCO, order cancels order, or OSO, order submits order. So these are bracket orders. Well, the trigger line there, as you can see, the demand trigger, this can be moved. All of these labels that you're seeing here, the lines, they can be manipulated at any time, whether you're pending orders or whether you've already been signed. These can be manipulated, and so you don't have to do any calculations, right? I'm not sure how well you guys can see it, but if you notice really closely there on the labels, you'll see that there are multiple things. For example, there is obviously the number in itself, the value. I believe the top one there is 2757.50. So you can, to the right of that, well, actually, let me start to the left. You see a number 1, and what that means is I want to trade 1 contract or 1 share or 1 lot, right? So whatever that is. To the right is the value. To the right of that is RR. Okay, that's your risk. That would be your risk and reward. So if you look at the bottom green label, you can see 30 going above that. You can see 43, and going above that, you can see 55. Okay, so you can see that there's differences there. That's literally telling you how many ticks are at risk, okay, and or are at reward. The green labels are going to show you the reward, of course, and the red label to the downside is going to show you the risk. Notice there's a negative value there, right? Because that's your stop. That's saying if we're wrong, it's going to be a negative, right? We're going to lose 10, in this case, 10 ticks. So again, all of this can be manipulated, and all calculations are done in real time. So if I were to move one of these labels on my chart, all of those calculations are going to be done. So again, I don't have to pull out a calculator. The calculator is actually built in. I could take and drag that, the entry there, which is to the left, if you see the value, numerical value of 3. If I were to, that means 3 contracts. So if I were to drag that up, it would automatically adapt all of the labels for me depending on how I have them set. So for example, in the back end, I could say I want target number 1 to be at a 1-to-1 ratio, target 2 at 2-to-1, target 3 at 3-to-1. So what happens is when I move the stop or the entry, I'm changing the value of that 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, right? So if I'm initially looking at a risk of 10 ticks, well, that's easy. A 1-to-1 is 10, 2-to-1 is 20, and so on and so forth. But if I alter that to, let's say I pulled it up to 15, well, now I have a 1-to-1 would no longer be 10 ticks, it would be 15, and then 2-to-1 will be 30, and 3, 45, and so on. Okay, so it is doing all of those calculations. And what I said was a lot of things that I would like to get to. In the settings, there are multiple different calculations. For example, we can say I want to use a fixed number. I can always use a digit, like I could put a 10, that would always mean a fixed number of 10 ticks. I could put a value of 10, and I could set the multiplier mode to a fixed variable. That means always use the calculations as we mentioned before, the 1-to-1s, 2-to-1s, 3-to-1s. I could also choose a different option, which we call variable, which means take the target calculations based on the volatility of the market. So you can see where I'm going with this. There's time to do it, right? So I'm going to skip over all of those, finite details for now. Again, if you want to sign up for the newsletter, we'll discuss those much further. Okay. Another item here, almost done, being the altitude grid. That grid on the right side here, as you can see, we have altitude grid 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What this helps us to do is just understand the perceived value. So this is just going to say, hey, look, am I buying low and selling high, which is, kind of investor 101, right? I want to make sure that I am always buying at low levels and selling at high levels. And the reason that this is here is because we can now automate it, which is, again, there are so many things that we've been able to accomplish that I just really never knew possible, when we started down this journey. So it's been interesting. All right. Okay. So let's, I'm just throwing conditions here. I could say take short entries only if above altitude grid line 3. Okay. So again, I'm saying sell high, right? All right, another condition here would be our trend lines in conjunction with our supply demand zones. I did mention we have many things automated. Trend lines are indeed one of them. So I'll throw you this one and many more, but let's just say hypothetically, I want to only take long positions if in an uptrend. Okay, well, that's great. And that sounds really, maybe that sounds impressive to you. I don't know, or maybe not. But what if I wanted to say, take all 60-minute demand zones if the dynamics of the market are up and if the trend is up, but not on a 60-minute chart? What if the uptrend I'm looking for is on a daily chart? In other words, what if I'm looking to play the pullbacks in the context of a daily uptrend, but I want to do it on the smaller time frame, reducing risk and so on? Okay, understand that the SD model and the PFA zone suite are indeed capable of doing that, and that's what's so great about it. We can use multiple time frames on any chart. What I could do is I could use a 60-minute chart. Okay, I could use the daily uptrend or downtrend, depending on the direction, of course, but I could stipulate that I want to be on a 60-minute chart. I want to use demand zones from the 15-minute chart, and I want to take those in the context of the daily uptrend if I'm inside of the low altitude grid. You see where I'm going with this? We can add so many conditions, a monster of a trading plan. Okay, so here we're saying, this is a kind of a basic scenario here. We're saying the demand, take the demand zones if an uptrend, the uptrend is true, and therefore it would execute a long position here. We could say here, demand high, uptrend is true, also execute. There's a couple of options there, right? A couple of entries of that demand zone. Now remember, this is a very basic one. I'm not implementing multiple time frames. I'm just saying, hey, there's an automated uptrend, there's automated demand zones, take the demand in an uptrend. However, we can see here, as we retest this, the uptrend is actually false. In fact, we're in a downtrend perhaps, right? Okay, so the uptrend has been broken. Ergo, you would not have an entry here to the upside because, again, it simply failed. There is no uptrend in this particular scenario. Okay, all right. I'm going to move super fast now. I want to get right out to the charts. DBD and RBR continuations. Okay, we have all of this stuff built in. Again, there's several points that I would like to make here, but if I keep touching on too many things, I'm not going to be able to get out to the live charts, which is what I would like to do now. Okay, audible alerts, email alerts, text message alerts, all of this is built in. Those alert lines that you're seeing here can be moved all over the chart. We have them not only built into our alert lines, but we have all of those same alerts built into the zones and so on and so forth. We can set many alerts. If we want to get an alert when a new zone is formed, when a zone is being retested, we can put an alert line anywhere on our chart for any reason, all of which will produce the audible email and SMS alerts. Okay, so you can have them sent to your phone, you can get them to your email, both, just whatever works for you. I have found, honestly, I've found that this is most advantageous, and I would say beforehand, especially because I wasn't running full automation. Well, man, this kind of saved me because I would not be aware. We all get busy and things like that, so I wasn't really aware of price movement sometimes. As you know, it can move fast, right? I think we had a pretty substantial drop just overnight yesterday. So, we've rallied back up today from what I saw a moment ago, and you get the picture, but ultimately you don't know until you know. Okay, so the alert lines, when I get a text message or an email or something like that, I write to it. Okay, I need to pull up my VPS or what have you, which I can do from my phone or from my laptop or from pretty much anywhere I am. All right, alerts are great. This is our user interface. We'll keep that simple. We won't really touch. There's too much to touch on here. Suffice to say, we built our own user interface outside of the NinjaTrader platform, if you will. We designed it in a way it's very organized. To give you a reason why we did this, the best and honest reason is just because there is too much. There was simply too much, and given the template system and the settings and all of that. NinjaTrader just wasn't necessarily capable of handling all of that. You would be scrolling through settings for days. As you can see on the left-hand column there, those are categories. To the right, you can see settings within the general category, right? So that's how many settings are in a single category. If you look down at the font styling alone, each and every one of those is a drop-down menu in itself. And that's, again, just one category. So you can see what we did was we built an entire system so that where we can save our own templates, and it's pretty interesting how it all works. Anyway, we'll go ahead and just kind of move forward. All right, here's what I want to do. I'm not going to hit you with this right now. I want to get out some live charts, right? But I guess I'll throw it out there real quick for you, so just in case I don't circle back here in a moment. Couple different options. You can enter into the PFA community. You can take a look. Just go ahead and navigate around the website, and I'll answer any questions here in just a moment. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because, again, I'm not a very, I'm probably the worst salesperson in the world, but that's okay. So that discount code right here to the bottom left, 10 years. I think you guys know why that's the discount code. And if you use that, you can get 20% off for the next 48 hours of any of our memberships. That's to say the Zone Suite lifetime license or the yearly PFA community, and or let me jump to that one, and or the lifetime PFA community. So if you're already familiar with PFA, you probably know about this and what we offer and things like that. If you don't, just touch base with me after this so I can jump out to the charts and everything. It's no problem. We are a full-fledged company. We do all education training, people from A to Z, all the way up now to complete automation. You get the picture. So our goal is to just, help you get to, our goal is to help everyone become successful. Are we 100% of that? Absolutely not. I wish that we were, guys, but some people just can't overcome the emotions, right? Maybe that's where the automation will come in for some people. I just don't know. But at the end of the day, I can assure you that we do our best, right? So I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke or anything like that. We've done pretty well, I would say. And so I encourage you to go read around the forum. The guys and gals, they really do have a lot of fun, and I enjoy just watching them. So it's very lovely. But we do have a live room that's every week. We have all kinds of stuff, right? You can see the software fully automated. We have a complete forum that's member access only. Recordings, we do record every day, okay? So it's for multiple reasons, accountability for one, but more importantly for expedited learning. We have a full-fledged trading course, guys. It generally takes people about 30+ hours to complete. It's pretty extensive. Matter of fact, I had a great conversation with a gentleman yesterday, decided to sign up, or maybe it was the day before, I can't recall. But anyway, I guess he had a friend who went through it, and he's a very nice gentleman. He said, yeah, he said, my friend, he said it was intense. And I said, that's a good word for it. So it is intense. There's a lot there. There's quizzes that you need to complete. And it's built in a way, I do have an educational background. So look, I did my best, right? But it's built in a way for you to retain the information. And again, we've been doing this for quite a long time. So a lot of information there. Example trade plans, boot camp archive, and the lifetime option, interactive trade journal, things like that, okay? All right, so we'll come back and we'll talk about this. Let me just escape out of this really quick. This is the course that you're looking at, by the way. As you can see, it's designed in Articulate software. So some universities use this to provide courses, things like that. But it's very well organized. Left-hand column, you just go step by step, and you wouldn't want to be skipping ahead or anything like that, as the course is built on itself. So lesson 1, or should I say lesson 2, it expects that you've already covered lesson 1, so on. Okay, very quickly, we have, like I said, a live room. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of each week, excluding holidays, of course. And then we have that wonderful group of traders. This is just our forum, so you can pop out at any time. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and get out to the live charts. Here we have that. Real quick, let's see. Is it compatible with order flow analysis? John, yeah. So I mean, it depends on kind of what you're asking about that, but yeah, it does have multiple order flow aspects built into it. If we go up here into the zones, for example, right? So we can turn and we can toggle all of this stuff on or off directly from the chart. It has, let me see here. So there's another item here. You can see down here bid and ask data, right? So it's got a lot of order profile information built into it, yes. So it just depends on what you want to do with that. I don't want to be too general or vague or what have you, but suffice to say, the simple answer is yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump right out. This is the automated strategy, okay? And sure, we'll look at some numbers and we'll do all that fun, good stuff. I try not to focus on numbers too much because I don't want this to become a, hey, you know, look at the great numbers and all of that stuff. And it's definitely not that type of thing. But at the end of the day, you do have to test your strategies, obviously. You do have to build belief in what you're doing. And then you got to do it, okay? Because without doing it, as you all know, you can't make money from a trade that isn't placed, right? And that just kind of goes without saying. But yeah, so anyway, I'll take you back a little ways on this. So I do want to address this real quick. As you can see currently, let's talk about a couple things. What's this crazy thing doing, right? I see a lot of things on the chart. Well, okay, good, you should. As you can see up here in the top left, we see primary zone menu, and then we see secondary zone menu. You can see that the secondary is set to weekly, and then the primary is set to default, which means that it's using the daily. Okay, so this green zone that you see there, those are daily demand zones. This big yellow zone down here, that's a weekly demand zone. As I said, we can do this all from one chart. But don't get wrapped up in that just yet, okay? So when we really dive into the nuts and bolts of this, is that what we're using? No. So as you can see here, there's no long position, right? We didn't execute a long position or what have you. Our long position actually took place back here. So as you can see, 10 at 31.58, okay? So you see these little green dots. I hope you guys can see that. Maybe it's not too small. But if you can see the green dots there, that is a pending order, right? So we were already looking to enter into that position before we executed there. Now you might be saying, well, are we looking at breakouts? Again, guys, this is a very unique strategy, and let me tell you why it's unique. I mentioned before how we don't just do one thing. So every market has its personality. I think you guys already know this. You kind of need to understand that personality. How does the market work? How does it function? Things like that. What are the tick increments, the tick values? How am I going to, how much am I going to be risking? What's the volatility in the market? Things like that. I mean, there's a lot that one needs to know about any given market. Here's the S&P, okay? Now with the S&P, we know it's an index market, and there are, just multiple index markets, but I love the S&P myself. It's my favorite market. In fact, I don't exclusively trade the S&P, but pretty close, right? I mean, I do place trades on other markets, just not a lot. It's very seldom, okay? I just don't really need to. So the S&P pretty much does, and plus, very little time and all that. I'm sure some of you understand that, probably the same situation. So again, that's the reason for automation, right? Now, what we do is we take the long side of the market, all right? So let's scrunch this chart up. Let's do this, all right? So what we want to do is take the long side of the market, and we want to execute a certain strategy. Well, because we have the PFA zone suite, we can actually, and the SD model, of course, because the SD model is the strategy. PFA zone suite is what I guess you would call it indicator. It's a suite of indicators really built into one. But it is making all the calculations. So the zone suite is doing really the heavy lifting, and then the strategy, the SD model, if you will, is doing the heavy trading. Okay, so it uses the zone suite calculations and just goes ahead and puts it into action. My point here, though, is if you notice on the chart, you probably see long. So there's some long stop, long stop, short. Okay, there's a short there, a couple targets or what have you. A long here, long target, went long again here, long target up there, and so on and so forth. What you can see is if you really scroll through, you're going to see that there are more. Just kind of scroll, right? But you're going to get probably more long side entries simply because the market is moving to the upside. So what our software does is it dynamically adapts to the conditions of the market, and it interprets that, right? So what it's doing is it's entering positions, and because it's adapting to the conditions of the market, it knows most often we want to look at holding our positions to the upside. It also knows, conversely, that our short positions typically are going to be short-lived, okay? So again, all of this is being automated. It's built in so that we don't have to do the heavy thinking, right? Ideally, that's no good for anyone, is it? All right, so let me go back over here. I just want to go to real time because I want to show you guys what it's doing as we speak. All right, so right here, there's a couple things for you to know about. The red cross, okay, each and every time you see a red cross back here, okay, those are pending stop orders. Anytime you see this up here, you can see that there's a pending, it's like a lime green, it's a bright green, if you will. So that's a pending target, which means that as we speak right now, I'm going to use some crosshairs here for this. Okay, so you can see at 31.58, there was a long position initiated. Okay, now, well, I should say back then, you see the red crosses down here. So that means that when this position was taken, the stop was initially placed down here. Then the stop moves up here, right? So as you can see, the crosses are no longer down there. The crosses are indeed up here, all right? So what's happening is there is a break-even point that's also dynamic to the market, and it knows when to protect that investment. So what we're doing is we're saying our target, so which has not been reached, all right? Our target is up here around the 34.24. So it's a pretty good ways to the upside there. You can see that if we get that target, that's a huge one, okay? That's going to be yet another very big target. And boy, would I love to see it. That's a long way to the upside, but it's certainly possible, okay? So again, what we've done is entered into the market at 31.58. Stops below, stops have now moved to break even plus commissions. In fact, not only, let me talk about plus commissions. When we move the stop, because we're talking about swing trading here. Now, some of you may say, I don't want to swing trade. I want to day trade. And absolutely, that's certainly your prerogative. But what we have found, and I think probably most people would agree, is that it's easier to make money on the larger time frames. Well, some would argue, but I can't do that because I don't have a large account. It's just rather, it's no longer a valid excuse, right? Because we have the micro markets. I mean, you can trade these markets for little to nothing. I mean, it's super cheap to trade these markets. So that's, again, that's no longer, not that we're trying to use it as an excuse. It was factual. I mean, a lot of us just don't have the money to trade the big markets and things like that. So it's a very valid reason, right? But no longer is that a reason. So we could trade the micro S&P for a 10th of what we can trade the E-mini, okay, and so on. So again, don't be scared away, just because you can't, just because your account's not large or something like that. It can be done. And again, as I mentioned, I'll display some numbers here and everything in a moment, but we have absolutely found great success in the larger time frames, and that's in its entirety. We're talking about like PFA members. We found that most people become successful when they start focusing in on the large time frames. Now, when it comes to automation, most especially, right? Because when you're automating something on the very small time frame, it's just like live trading. It becomes much more difficult. So it's a little bit easier the larger time frames you go. What about multiple time frames? Even better. So what we're doing is we're combining not only multiple time frames, but multiple strategies within one. So let me bring this up, for example. I'm going to bring up our user inputs menu here, okay? And we have a bunch of, categories here and all this stuff. So a lot of things are built into conditions, but we can see that we could, let's say right here, for example, okay? So I can add an entry type of any sort. We can put in any one that we want. So there's multiple. I can put certain conditions on it, whether the structure, trend lines, trend ID. again, we talked about conditions earlier, so I could say take supply zones only if the market structure is down and the trend line is down and the trend ID is down, right? So I could get really crazy with it. And I could put all these conditions on it. Well, then you'd say, well, okay, what is the trend line? How do I make changes to the trend line? The trend inputs. Okay, so if we go right here where it says trend lines, and then we click on that, we can see all the settings for the trend lines in themselves. So I could now go over here and say, okay, but what do I want that trend line to be? If I'm going to stipulate a requirement based on it, okay, well, great. Maybe I put it at a 4-hour trend line, okay? Or maybe I put it at a weekly, or whatever the case is. It doesn't really matter. You would make that alteration directly from here and simply apply that, and then we're good to go, okay? So we could submit. I'm going to get a little bit advanced with you here. I've already gotten advanced, right? We're doing multiple strategies within one, but let's go a little bit further. Let's say that I want to take 4 different strategies inside of one trading strategy. Let's say that I want to take demand zones when the daily trend is up, okay? And just keeping it very simple right now. Let's say I want to take daily demand zones when the daily trend is up. I want to take daily supply zones when the daily trend is down. So that's 2 different things that I'm doing. Let's also add in there, I want to execute RBRs in daily uptrend if there is no demand zone present. So what I'm doing now is I'm saying, okay, well, if this condition all is not met, I can't take that trade. But what about this other one over here, right? Maybe I could take a continuation play. So you can see how we can add multiple strategies within a strategy to build one solid trading plan. So guys, it's pretty unique, and we've gone kind of above and beyond to build something that I just don't believe has ever been seen before. But what I'm doing myself, I'm sharing with you what I'm using, okay? And the way that this works is, as I said, I'm having 2 different strategies. One to the short side is different. I utilize a confirmation entry style to the downside, and those trades I exit out of rather quickly. So let's go find, as a matter of fact, there's one right here, okay? So let's go back, there we go. All right, so as you can see, it says short here at 29.8050. It executes the target at 29.36 quarter. So as you can see, the short trade there, it's not huge, right? Look up here to the long side. You see how this long one is rather large, okay? So I am implementing 2 different styles, one to the long side based on certain conditions, which are entirely different than the conditions to the short side. Those ones, as I said, are utilizing more of a confirmation entry. The long side is just basically ready to go, okay? All right, so we can go through all of that stuff, but ultimately the background colors here, what you can see, this is where dynamics are changing, I should say underlying dynamics. Now remember, we're using multiple time frame information here. So I'm looking and utilizing the dynamic time frames all within this one chart. And here you can see I have a weekly demand zone. Inside of that demand zone, I have a daily demand zone. Okay? So we can do all kinds of things with this. But there's no need to, right? Why is that? Because you see this big diagonal line here, okay, the one going all the way across the chart. It's because we're already in a long position and we're holding for a huge reward. Guys, I get it. I totally understand the mentality of wanting to day trade. I was one of them. We've all been there, I think. And some of us are still, some of us will never leave it, because some of us may find that they're very successful at it. I found that there are very few, but that's okay. Again, it's just easier to make money on the bigger time frames. So I'm a very simple person, and my thoughts were very quickly, why work so hard when I got into this to do the exact opposite, right? I did not want to work my fingers to the bone. I wanted to spend more time, with family and all that good stuff. So it's not logical for me to be taking 50 trades a day. It just doesn't make sense. It's not what I wanted to do. Not to mention the fact that I'm not that good at it. there's that as well. Anyway, I do understand your mentality, okay? But what if someone were to say, look, you can trade less and maybe do more? If you haven't experienced this yet, whether you're doing it in a simulated account, live account, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Right? It's your money, right? Do whatever you want with it. But here's the thing. When you experience this one time, I'm telling you, trust me on this, when you experience it one time, it will change your life forever. Guys, I am personally still holding a position from December 2018. I'm long the S&P 500 from December of 2018. I'm still holding that position. It will change your life, okay, when you do that one time. But what about when you do it consistently over time? What you come to realize is the stress that you once had, I'm not going to say that it ever completely goes away, but it is reduced substantially because you're not even looking at the charts. And I don't know, I'm not trying to preach or anything. I'm simply saying that if you haven't experienced it, it's very hard to, it's kind of like living in a different country, right? You just don't know. Like you're never going to truly know the culture unless you go there and physically live for a little while. And then you can kind of understand. So it's the same thing here in trading. The concept is totally different, but if you live in it for a little bit, you get used to it, you may find that you love it, right? But that's what's happening here, guys. We have multiple time frame dynamics changing. We're implementing multiple strategies to make one strategy that is suitable for this particular market. And then over time, our goal is just to, you know, of course, to be successful over the long haul, right? And we don't want to be, you know, the idea there is I've also, just so you guys know, I do have a short-term strategy, but it's a little bit different. It's produced pretty well, but it is definitely on the lower spectrum of the win rate, right? So it pushes, memory serves me correct on the exact number, but it's about 40% win rate. Now, again, it produces pretty well, but that's very difficult for most people. You don't want to be wrong that much. It's quite hard to continuously follow your plan, you know? So again, it's harder, but it just depends on what you're looking for. And also when you're talking about automation, how much is automation worth to you, right? Because to me, it's, you know, it's worth, I mean, it's gold. The fact that I don't have to make, you know, ample amounts of decisions. Of course, you got to make decisions to build a plan, but overall, it's worth quite a bit. Okay. So if we go back, guys, I'll just kind of take you through. I think now would be a good time to maybe answer some questions. But here you can see, I'll just run you through, you know, a few of the things. Again, we take short positions here. As you can see, we reached a profit target on the short position, implemented or executed another short position, ended up with a stop out on that one. So kind of a wash. Up here, you have a long position, and it was looking up here, right? So this was the profit target. It was looking for, kind of like it's doing right now. It was looking for an enormous profit target, ends up getting taken out at break-even plus commissions. Earlier, I was talking on the break-even plus commissions, and I forgot to mention that when we don't just take a tick. In this particular case, we're taking over 2 points of profit, and that's just saying, hey, we're looking at swing trading, so what the heck, you know, if price is going against us, might as well pull out a couple of points. And surprisingly, you'll come to find that that does add up over time. Okay, so again, I could go back, some short positions there, some long positions there, and so on. Now, are you always going to be right? No, of course not. But the idea there is when you're right, to be really right. When you're wrong, to be wrong, you know. But we want to be wrong, number one, maybe less than we're right, if possible. And more importantly, we want our gains to be larger than our losses. And that's what sets us up for long-term success, okay? All right, so I'll scrunch the chart up here and just take some time. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you guys want to look at the numbers, I'm happy to do that as well. Let's see how much. So this goes back about 3 years, I think. 1094, that sounds like about 3 years. So if you guys have any questions, do me a favor, go ahead and type those in. I don't think I'm looking. Oh, hold on a moment. Okay, yep, all right, very good. So I'll pull up the numbers real quick as you guys, I don't see any questions coming in. So attendance a little bit on the low side today. So if you guys don't have a question, that's okay. I will be happy to end on this note, but let me bring this up at least. So I can just give you guys an idea. Sorry, there, pull it over from my my other monitor. So I just want to give you guys an idea of how this really works, right? Are are we looking for a get rich quick? No. Again, as I mentioned, so this goes back to 2017. So this is 3 years back, right? We're not looking at a get rich quick. That doesn't really exist. And if it does, I haven't found it. There's no holy grail or anything like that. This is one of the hardest things I think you'll do, simply because it requires so much patience, right? But please remember that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a pro to this. So the con would be, well, you don't get a lot of trades, right? But why are you looking at that as a negative? That's a positive thing. That means that you don't have to work. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people tend to look at that and they're like, oh, I don't want to, that's very few trades or whatever. They got it. It's backwards, right? Because what they're inadvertently saying is, I want to work more. Well, if that's what you're looking to do, that's fine. But I certainly don't want to work more than I have to. So the goal there is actually to be in the market, the pungency of the time, making money. And yes, there's going to be ups and downs, but ideally over time, I just continue making money, kind of like an uptrend, right? So these numbers here, by the way, are based on the 10, you can see over there, 10 contracts. I keep it very simple. I don't trade a bunch of different targets. I like to be in and out. So if I'm going to look for a huge reward, right? As you can see over here, for example, multiple targets being reached. Let's say we enter long here. I'm going to hold all 10 contracts. And I do that for a reason. I'm either going to make a lot of money on that, or I'm going to make pretty much nothing. Okay. Like I said, we pull out a few different. But as you can see here, over time, you end up with to the long on the long side, 359,000 there, and to the short side, 83,000, with a win rate of about 70%. All right, 75 to the long side, 62.5 to the downside. So again, multiple strategies all built in one. You guys have any questions? I don't see any coming in. I'm a little bit surprised about that. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to give you literally 1 or 2 more minutes. If I don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end on that. I certainly appreciate your guys' time. Enjoy being here. Go out to purefinancialacademy.com, get signed up for the 3 free videos. Again, it's just a newsletter, and if you want to, you can certainly, there's an unsubscribe option in every single email that you'll receive, so feel free to unsubscribe at any time. We never, ever, ever want you to have access to our newsletter if you don't want it, right? We don't ever want to send you an email. We don't ever want to contact you. We don't want to bother you in any way. So whatever, however you want to handle that, just let us know. But we're happy to accommodate you guys. And if that's not what you're looking for, then we're not going to push you in any way. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. The link there, Mike, if you look in the chat, let me see if I can post it in the, I'm not sure. Actually, I think I can post it here. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Mike. So I just put it in there. If you click, I put it in the chat and the Q&A as well. So you can just click right. Good deal. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it very much. Anyone else have any questions? This will be the final time I ask. Okay, guys, I have certainly had a good time with you all. I hope you did as well. Let us know if you have any questions, and I'm going to turn it back over to you. And happy New Year's to all of you.